or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hi, I'm Peter Sagal. When we were growing up, my two brothers and I just loved our Uncle Ted. He was like a really cool big brother who always brought around the best toys and took us to the best places and with whom we always had the most fun. It was odd, though, when we got older, to realize he wasn't nearly as outgoing and adventurous with other adults. I found out much later that this might have had something to do with the ostomy bag he wore ever since he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease as a teenager and had part of his lower intestine removed. Theodor Skolnick, my Uncle Ted, died last year at the age of 80, never having once mentioned his illness to me or my brothers. He left a large bequest to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation to help fund better treatments for these diseases and also to help other people, old and young, seek and get help for the situation that he was never able to talk about. Don't feel you need to hide your Crohn's or colitis. Go to spillyourguts.org to learn more about the treatments available and even find a specialist. That's spillyourguts.org.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy with you. Johnny Hill producing as always on a Monday afternoon. And a lot to get to. Busy weekend in college basketball. Tigers in action yesterday. And one of the wilder games I think many people have seen, a very wild one. Grizzlies in action again tonight. They had two over the weekend. So a ton to get into today. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brad, I'm doing great, and I know you were at FedEx Forum yesterday, and anybody that was there, I was not, anybody that was there, we go to sports for a lot of reasons. Main thing, we go to see our teams.
Sure.
And when they do something special, just any old kind of win at any old kind of time of the year, you're pleased by it. But we can look at the calendar, we know it's March 4th.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a de facto elimination game. Tigers lose. We can have all the happy talk we want about, beating FAU in Boca and getting on a magical run at Dickey's, and all that still really can happen. But it would have been a lot less authentic conversation without that comeback. And when you go to all these games, Brian, I know you've already been to a lot. You'll go to a lot more. You'll look back in a long time. Sunday, March 3rd, 2024, against UAB at home. That one was special. That you don't go and see that every day.
No, you don't. I don't even know what to call it. It was so wild and weird.
It was like 4 games.
I mean, it really was. I mean, it took a lot out of you. I mean, I was exhausted after watching it. I mean, it just felt like you'd just seen a whole weekend of action. I mean, because UAB comes out. They put up 61 points in the first half. It looks like it's over. Second half they come out, and I mean, before you know it, it's a 4-point game. It's a 2-point game. Now the Tigers have the lead, and they never
by the 16-minute mark. Yeah. You knew the Tigers were going to win.
Yeah, which was, just crazy. I do not know if I've ever seen a team come out that guns a-blazing and turn a 15-point deficit into a ball game that fast.
61's enough points to win a lot of games.
Sure is.
Regular season games. You can win games just by scoring 61. I thought the half-court buzzer beater
huge
before the half was so much more than 3 points.
Absolutely. In that closing minute, they were down by as many as 22 in that last minute and a half. They kind of started chipping away, and then you had that buzzer beater 3 by Javon Quinterly, and I think certainly gave the fans kind of a spark to try to get back in it, and I think for the team gave them some. I know. I think Jason Munns this morning. I heard him with Dave Woloshin. I can't remember if it was him or if I saw this on social media, but somebody pointed out that after Javon Quinterly sank that 3, that Penny Hardaway was kind of nodding and smiling like, yeah, no, this is
the announcers remarked about it.
Really, yeah. So I mean, it seemed like that was a big turner, and then in the second half, it was all Tigers. I mean, I looking up at that 16-minute mark, even later in the game, and going, wow. UAB has not even taken a lot of shots in this second half. They just could not get anything going. And so it was really
26 doesn't win you anything.
No. Doesn't win you anything at all. And it was just very, very remarkable how the Tigers came out in that second half.
And that's the impetus. That's the everybody hopes the launching pad. It had to be with wins over that they took care of business over Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, in East Carolina, but had to have that one. I think for an at-large bid, got to beat FAU Saturday, and I think at least get to the finals on Sunday to get an at-large. I don't have great prospects for at-large, but I do not want to be negative at all today. I want to be honest, but I don't want to be negative. There's plenty of time to talk about, and I wish, and I'm going to ask you. We're going to ask Shelby Mast. I'm going to ask Shelby Mast about this with the bracketology. I know most of us that follow and really like and know the jargon and the language, the vernacular of college basketball. When they see last four in, we know what that means.
Sure.
But then that next four and the first four out and the next four out. I think what people maybe could even understand better than that is when you get down to that language, almost in the golf world, like when John Daly was famously the 8th or 9th alternate to get in Crooked Stick, and he ended up winning the PGA Championship. I would say first four out on Shelby's list right now, Providence is first alternate. James Madison, second alternate. Colorado, third alternate. Memphis, fourth alternate. Wake Forest, fifth alternate. Texas A&M, sixth. Butler, seventh. Ole Miss, eighth. That's really, I think, an easier way to kind of conceptualize it.
Sure, yeah, and I mean bracketology can be confusing.
They won't.
And it can mess with your head trying to look at all of it. But the Tigers are doing what they need to do, and especially for AAC tournament play, they have really positioned themselves well. I mean, last week we were talking, and I thought it was a long shot for the Tigers to get one of those buys. And now, after not just what the Tigers have done, but have benefited a ton of what has happened with the rest of the teams. I mean, SMU lost to UTSA. That helped the Tigers out a lot. They're benefiting from some losses of teams in front of them, and now position themselves extremely well to get one of those first-round buys in the conference tournament.
And a little bit of, I think, a scheduling break with the three teams that remain in front of them in USF that's locked up the league. They're going to be the 1 seed, FAU and Charlotte. The Tigers only have one. They only got to go to work one time this week.
That's right.
Everything's focused, almost college football world, Saturday against FAU. Road trip on Friday, play on Saturday, everybody charter home Saturday night. Almost a college football mentality about that. Those two teams in front of them that they can still get to the 2.
Sure. Yeah.
And FAU and Charlotte, they've got 2 orders of business this week. It's interesting. In the AAC, there's only 1 seed that is locked up.
Crazy.
And that is the number 1 seed. Yeah. That is South Florida. Nobody had that.
No.
Nobody.
No.
If there were any, I doubt there were odds out there on that.
Ooh.
If they had odds, it would have been you own the casino.
You'd be a very, very, very rich person today.
You would own FanDuel today if you took South Florida back on Christmas Day to be the 1 seed come March. In the SEC, there's only 1 seed secure.
Really?
The 14th seed in Missouri. If you would have had that, I think that would have been longer odds than South Florida winning the AAC.
I think you're right. I mean, it still blows my mind. Third game of the season, Memphis going up to Missouri, and the thought of that, of what a resume win that
second
could be.
Game, yeah.
And now, was it the second? Oh, well, you're right.
Yeah.
It was the second game. Well, either way, I mean, still.
I'm cheating because I got it in front of me.
I knew it was the only reason I remember that is because I know it was one of the games Coach Hardaway had to miss.
Right. That Friday night. Remember, I'm in Atlanta, Ole Miss and Georgia the next day in football. And I remember telling our crew, can't go out tonight. I got to watch the Tiger game. I want to, and I need to. If at the end of that game, come March 4th, the only seed set in the AAC is South Florida's going to be the one seed, and the only one set in the SEC is Mizzou will be dead last. You couldn't take that person seriously. No. That's sports, man. That's sports,
It sure is.
And you saw it yesterday. That's sports.
Yeah.
That's what you go for.
Exactly. You absolutely did. So wild time. I'll tell you my favorite part of being at the game yesterday, and I was telling Johnny Radio this earlier. Sitting there in the first half, and early in the game when UAB's playing well, you hear these like loud pops after UAB does something well, and I'm like, what is that? Well, I don't see any fans, but I hear cheering after baskets, but there's not usually behind the bench you've got a couple rows of visiting fans, but there really wasn't any of that, so I just chalked it up. Maybe they're just spread out around the arena. Really good crowd yesterday at FedEx Forum, and so whatever. So during a timeout early in the first half, they're panning around at different fans, and you're getting, whatever. Everyone loves to be on the Jumbotron. And I look down at my phone because I'm going to just scroll Twitter during the timeout, and out of nowhere, the entire arena erupts in boos. And I try to look up because I'm like, what is going on? I look up and they're on a different fan. They had just changed. And so I look over to my buddy that I was with. I was like, what was that about? Why was everybody booing? And he goes, oh, there's this big group of UAB fans here, and they just put them on the Jumbotron. And I'm looking around like, where? And he goes, up there. And at the very top corner, literally, very top corner of FedEx Forum, there is this section that literally has not many people sitting in it, but there are probably 4 or 5 rows in this section full. I mean, from seat 1 to seat 14, filled every row, about 4 or 5 of them, and everyone's wearing neon green shirts. And he goes, those are UAB fans up there. And it was, what we learned, it was UAB brought 2 busloads of students to the game, and they were all in that top corner in these neon green matching shirts, and they were loud. I mean, I was paying attention to them for the rest of the first half. They were loud, even in the second half when Memphis comes back and it's not a game anymore. I mean, they still look like they're having the time of their lives up there. It was the funniest thing. It was my favorite thing about yesterday.
Well, I wish for UAB's sake they would have put somebody on some bus, on some transportation that was a trainer instead of was it Vasquez that got hurt?
It was Vasquez that got hurt. That's right.
He sat over there writhing in pain the entire second half. I haven't seen the first person walk over there with an ice bag, with a heating pad, a massage therapy. That guy sat over there aching in pain most of the second half.
Yeah, see, I saw him go off, and he immediately, when he gets off the court, just goes down to the ground. They're like, no, we got to move you back. And by the time they moved him back, he was out of where I couldn't see him anymore. And so I just figured they had a trainer back there working
unattended.
On him.
No,
wow.
Nothing. You never saw anybody around. It looked like a calf injury to me.
Yeah.
Lower leg, something like that. But he had 18 before he got hurt.
He looked really good. He was playing extremely well. We had there was a UAB fan sitting behind us, really nice guy, and the whole first half he was going, I don't know what's going on right now. I mean, this team does not play like this. Like those guys that are making threes right now, they don't do that. Like I don't know what this team is doing right now, but this is not normal. And like during halftime, like a bunch of Memphis fans were like talking to him, was like, man, your team's looking really good today. And he was like, no. Like, I don't know what that was. Anomaly. This team does not play that well. I'm worried. And sure enough, Memphis comes back.
But this is the fun of March.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you win, yesterday was no bracket. It didn't move along in a bracket yesterday. Mm-mm. But we know the gravity of it. We know the Tigers could not lose.
Yeah.
I don't think they can lose Saturday at Boca, right. But I don't know that a win is a must.
Sure.
But I think a roll to march to the conference championship, the tournament, and that gets the automatic qualifying. You don't have to worry about it large if you just like last year. But the Tigers were safely in last year. I just think there's too many cars in between them right now.
Yeah, it seems like
and we're too late in the year.
I think so, and I just don't know. I mean, what does the committee value? I mean, when you're looking at some of these teams, I'll just when you look at a Memphis versus a Wake Forest, Memphis obviously has the wins in non-conference that make them look like a top team, but Wake Forest has done a lot of work in conference play in an ACC conference that I think certainly is better than the American, where Memphis has struggled for a large part in the American Conference. I mean, what does the committee look at when it comes to the teams on the bubble? And I'm just worried that Tigers need to still make some noise. They've obviously done a good job up until this point over the last couple of weeks, but they need to keep the foot on that gas, go into Fort Worth with a ton of confidence, and I think, maybe the hardest, but I think the one that makes you feel more comfortable is just go down there, take care of business in the conference tournament, and not have to worry about an at-large.
Just my college basketball consumption from over the weekend. I think Seton Hall is very much in trouble.
Yes.
Right now, their last four and all that language, first four,
Sure.
alternates, whatever you want to call it, I think they're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Virginia looks safely in some, but not in others. And here's my whole thing with that. Head-to-head. Not only head-to-head, but thumping.
Yeah.
Memphis put on them. Now, I know there's, about 22 spots in the net, but this is not vintage peak year in the ACC.
No, not at all.
It's better than the AAC, but they did play.
Sure. Yeah, and so, I mean, it's just, and now you have, so many bracketologies, and like you said, in one bracket they're safely in, and one they're outside, and so it's interesting to see what different people who do this, what they look at, and that'll be an interesting question to ask Shelby in about an hour of how does he go about looking at things like that.
And the whole philosophical debate of how much does November matter for good or for bad?
Right.
Because if it's for bad, South Florida's in tough shape.
Sure.
Because it was real bad.
Yeah.
And their good win in that period, Florida State's not any good.
Right.
We've played the whole year. Here's one great thing for the committee here at the end of the year, as opposed to these bracketologists that put stuff out daily or week to week or however they do it during the year. They get to have everything almost at the completion.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
This week is the last week of the regular season for everybody, if not last week was for some. So now we know who was really good. We know Missouri ended up not being very good.
Right.
We know Michigan's not. I put it too lightly. Missouri stinks.
Yeah.
Michigan stinks.
Yeah.
Arkansas is not very good. I don't know how good Villanova is.
Yeah, it's a good point. And so, I mean,
I don't know how good Virginia Common is.
Yeah.
I don't know how good Ole Miss is.
Sure. And we're starting to
Clemson.
see. Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see some of those teams surge late. We're starting to see some of those teams, I don't want to say fall apart late, but have some losses that are certainly going to hurt them. And you're right, that's the thing about the committee is they get it when everything's pretty much final, and they can kind of look at entire bulk of what these teams have done. And
if head-to-head doesn't matter in December, then why do it?
No, that's a good question.
Play a tomato can.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. I think that's what some people the issue they have with the Big 12. I remember seeing some numbers that said the Big 12 has the worst non-conference strength of schedule, but then when you look at the conference as a whole, by the time they play the conference slate, they're all top 25 teams because of how tough that conference is.
Got a text from a friend of mine, and he would know that the University of Memphis team doctor went over and checked on the youngster for UAB, and that UAB never brings a team doctor.
Interesting. Wow.
Which is colossally stupid.
Yeah, that's
opens you up
crazy.
For a lawsuit that would have a bunch of zeros on it.
Yes, no, that is kind of hard to believe, but interesting. Well, I hate that. Like I said, I didn't get to see him. I figured that
Poor guy sit over there almost begging for attention.
I hate that. I mean, like I said, they move him
help
along,
me.
And I figured, I know that corner, and it's kind of tight, and so I figured,
it is.
Get him
It's
up
very
on
busy.
It's
really tight. That corner is very tight.
Oh, Brett, before games when they've got the guys up there stretching, very hard to get around and stuff.
And you almost feel like you're in a restricted area.
You do.
And you're not
Exactly.
if you're going around. That it is
very busy.
And smartly how they configured, both the Grizzlies and the Tiger bench, because of that opening.
Exactly.
Going back to the Sissy's Log Cabin Lounge, it gives you a lot more room.
That's right. Gives you way more room. And so you're right, very busy. But I just figured, I couldn't see him. Figured they had a team doctor or somebody working on him in the second half. I was actually surprised that they didn't just take him back to the locker room.
No kidding. Help the man to the locker room.
That was my thing. It's so tight over there. Just take him back and get him figured out, and then maybe bring him back to the bench or something.
And Andy Kennedy.
Woo!
What an embarrassing display by him.
Wow. I mean, that was
he should
be
humiliated today.
I mean, that was something. And
to go at his men.
I mean, pushing players, pushing assistants. I mean, get out of my way.
Like if they didn't hold you back, are you going to hit the man?
I mean, it was.
What are you doing? What are you thinking?
It was something, and it was very weird because the call on the court, they called it an offensive traveling, and I think he wanted it to be a call on defense that he, got pushed or something like that. And it just seemed like a very small thing. Like, okay, talk to the ref about it. Maybe, clap real hard at the ref and say, come on. I mean, that's got to be a foul. But, I mean,
maybe get one.
Maybe.
Maybe.
My theory is they came out very flat in the second half. You sometimes see coaches do this where they'll go and beg for a tech just to try to get some fire into their guys. I think he was maybe trying to get a tech and then just lost it. And it was down a slippery slope and gets tossed. I mean, what a
real bad look.
Crazy. I mean, that was why, and that gave so much more energy to the Memphis fans. I mean, after that, it was already loud in there. After that ejection, different ball game. I mean, it was a really good environment for that game yesterday. We'll talk a lot more about that game, but let me set up today's show before we get to
I think we know what the top stories are, don't we?
No, I think we're going to be pretty similar on our top stories for sure. 3:30, we're going to get back to this conversation, talk more about the Tigers and their win yesterday over UAB. 3:45, we'll talk the conference as a whole, the AAC with 1 week left. Tigers benefit, like Brett said earlier, with scheduling only one game left. A lot of teams still have to play 2 games. So we'll talk some AAC scenarios and what that conference tournament
Today's the only day off in the AAC from now through Sunday. There's a game Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Interesting. And so
including Friday night.
Yeah, and so with how kind of open it is behind number 1, it's going to be an interesting week in the American. 4 o'clock, David Cobb will join us from CBS Sports, talk some college basketball and a little college football. 4:30, Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com will join us. We'll talk a ton of bracketology with him, as now only 2 weeks away from a bracket, so a lot to get to with Shelby at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. He's on the Grizzlies beat. We'll talk to DeMichael about the Grizzlies. They're back in action tonight after dropping 2 back-to-back games over the weekend against the Portland Trailblazers. They'll be in Brooklyn tonight to take on the Nets. So we'll talk a lot of Grizzlies at 5 o'clock. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure studios where family and fun come together. Head out to Family Leisure. They've got factory direct pricing on all swimming pools, spas, and patio furniture. It's patio season. Come by Family Leisure and check out the new 2024 patio furniture sets. Pool season will be here before you know it. Buy now and get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Save $1,000 to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Also, special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and outdoor kitchens. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We are Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock under the direction of Johnny Hill. He's our producer. Bryant and Brett with you. And our Sissy's Log Cabin phone, text, and guest lines 901-360-8255. We want you to join us and be a part of our show. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. You can call them at 901-334-9673, but they'd rather you stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, how could it be anything other than the Tigers win yesterday over UAB? 106-87, the final score. And if you watched that first half and turned it off, I'm pretty sure you woke up this morning thinking, wow, what a disappointing game for the Tigers, because it was a disappointing first half. My buddy joked at halftime, all right, let's go ahead and leave. This one's over. I mean, this is rough.
Not those guys again.
Nah. A different friend. He was joking, but still, I mean, that resonated to a lot of people, I think.
We can tell when I texted you.
You can.
I texted you and I asked.
Yeah.
Are they booing?
And they were not. And it was a very weird first half. I mean, UAB comes out. Tigers, I think, up 4-0 to start the game, but then here comes UAB knocking down three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. It seemed like they couldn't miss. And then late in the first half, I mean, they had all the momentum. They had the swagger. They were throwing up lobs. Looked like they were having fun, getting steals, going to the basket, and some really athletic dunks. I mean, they had it all. But then last minute or two, it felt like the Tigers were maybe trying to get some momentum into half. Javon Quinterly knocks down a deep three at the buzzer going into half. And then in the second half, here come the Tigers. An unbelievable performance, both offensively and defensively. I mean, and to think, wow, I mean, you gave up 87 points and you're calling it a great defensive showing? Yeah, in the second half, it was unbelievable. The Tigers held UAB to only 26 points, 0.788 points per possession for UAB. Just an unbelievable defensive effort. And then offensively, the Tigers looked completely different. 60 points in the second half, shot 57% from the field, 40% from three, and only turned the ball over one time. I thought that was one of the biggest things, was they protected the ball. They didn't turn it over. They were playing with a lot more energy and looked really, really good. David Jones, a huge second half, 24 points in that second half on Senior Day. That was also another great thing. Senior Day was awesome. They honored 5 guys. Naquan Tomlin comes out with DeAndre Williams, which everyone loves to throw those comparisons out of the energy they play with. Then David Jones comes out and they go, we've got a special surprise for him. His sister that he hasn't seen in like 2.5 years was there. I mean, it was really, really cool to see those seniors be honored. And so just outside of kind of getting scared in that first half, a really, really great Sunday at FedEx Forum.
Well, almost as shocking as that comeback yesterday is my top story is that stunning comeback yesterday to win by 19 and just to do it in style, like just almost unimaginable style yesterday with being down. The Tigers close out the home portion of the 23-24 season. Yesterday was really emblematic of this topsy-turvy season. Memphis beat UAB 60-26 in the second half and caused Andy Kennedy to go full cab driver in Cincinnati, didn't it?
Sure did.
Wow, what a bad look for him. Tossed and humiliated. The Quinterly three from midcourt right before the half. It was the launching point to what? It could be to a lot. Yep. It really could be. The Tigers are a dangerous out. Everyone recognizes that, but they got a lot of work to do. The defense did it again. 18 UAB turnovers. Saturday against FAU, got to win.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. What they have done this season has been really, really fun to watch. They wake up this morning after winning last night. Timberwolves losing yesterday. They wake up in first place in the Western Conference. Last night, a win over the Phoenix Suns in Phoenix in a game that looked like it could get close down the stretch. Phoenix tried to make a comeback, but missed a lot of shots down the stretch to give the Thunder a comfortable, I think it was a 7-point win win that it ended up being maybe an 8-point win. But the Oklahoma City Thunder, this team is young, they're fun, 42-18 right now. And if you look at the guys that are really making an impact, SGA has been unbelievable this year, and a lot of people talking about him being a guy that could go out and win the MVP. He's averaging 31 points right now, also 5.6 rebounds. And get this, guy averaging 31 points, still averaging about 7 assists per game. So he's doing it all defensively. He's also playing really, really well with 2.1 steals. They've got Jalen Williams, that was such a hit from the draft. I mean, I don't think anybody thought that he would.
Jalen with an E.
That's right. I think they call him J-Dub. I don't know.
Yeah.
They try to differentiate him.
Yeah, they call him J-Dub, Brian.
J-Dub. Yeah, that's what I thought. Chet Holmgren, after he missed last season, coming back and making a huge impact in what is technically his rookie year, but I still think what he did in the offseason, what he did in that lost year for him with the injury was huge. Getting more muscle, getting bigger a little bit before his first year in the NBA. Getting a chest was huge, and he has been really, really good. Then you got a guy like Lou Dort that has been good defensively, kind of bring that defensive stopper that this young Oklahoma City Thunder team needs. Now, I don't know if they have what it takes to make this big, long run in the playoffs, but it has been fun to watch this young team play, and now, this late in the season, in first place in the West.
We've seen this team this young with this many stars once before, and they got all the way to the NBA Finals with them.
Yeah, sure have.
My not top story, it's that time of year. It is a great time of year. I much prefer to do happier talk,
Absolutely.
Optimistic talk than the other way. I do. We deal with the subject matter as it's dealt to us. I would much rather be here today talking about, after yesterday, but all the TV analysts, all the studio pundits. It's that time of year. Every play-by-play guy, every host, everyone. Everybody's in the tournament. Everybody's in the tournament. Everybody should be in.
Yeah.
You don't hear a team. No, they shouldn't be in. They're all advocating. Yeah, they got enough wins. They're all advocating for their buddy that's the coach there, or AD that's the coach there.
Yep.
Everyone ins, and that's smart. It makes nobody mad. It doesn't get you disemboweled on the X machine. And if they get in, then you can say, "See, I told you so."
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is advancing to the tournament if you listen to the punditry.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's this time of year when we're right here before the tournament. Everything is great.
The next 91 out.
No, that's right.
You know?
That's right. It's beautiful. I mean, get that list of all these teams on the bubble, and it can go
If they do this,
ways.
and they
That's
stand
right.
on one leg and look to the east,
That's right.
and win every game by 96 the
Then
rest of the
they're
way,
absolutely in.
and 27 other teams lose, they're in, and they should be in.
Right, that's right. It's a tale as old as time. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. We need to go ahead and get our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what happened inside FedEx Forum yesterday when the Tigers beat UAB. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, "Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better? I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, 225 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We still have heavy traffic headed out towards Fayette County on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out past Germantown Parkway. I know we had that wreck earlier near Abilene. Traffic's really cranking up over here now on 240 East from Mill Branch out to 385. Billmore's Parkway actually looks pretty good as you continue out towards Collierville. Now it's going to get busy here in the next few minutes as you come off 240 on to 385. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in the Memphis area. It's got to be Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We talked a lot in the first segment about the Tigers, their win over UAB. We're going to talk some more about that. Let us know your thoughts.
We're going to talk a lot about it right now.
We're going to talk a lot about it right now, but let us know your thoughts of the game. If you were there or watching on TV, the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Another thing that jumped out to me, Brett, in that game last night, you look at the starters, 36 minutes, 32 minutes, 32 minutes, 34 minutes, and 29 minutes. We're continuing to see Penny Hardaway trust those starters and leave them in. And I think that is what they've got to do, because these starters give you so much where the rotation, I hate to say, is really lacking.
It is, and it's not unique to the Tigers. That's a lot of places you're down to who you can count on.
Sure.
And you always get to that point, and you can talk all the happy talk of 10, 11-man rotations you want. I know what the year gets down to for most everybody, especially teams trying to get on a run like the Tigers. And with this week off, I mean, he knew, guys, you got to go in the high 30s.
Yeah.
We've got an off week, and then don't play again probably until now the following Friday. Maybe still on Thursday, doubtful though. Right. The following Friday, and with the TV timeouts and how they've got it set up for television, you're going to have long breaks, and if you're not in shape by now, you're not getting in shape, and they are in shape. They're in very good shape.
Absolutely.
And it's just the toll they're going to have to carry, and you see it. Low man for starter was 29 minutes, then 3 33s and a 36.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're seeing these guys getting those minutes, and I think need to. You look at the production from those guys. 25 from Javon Quinterly, 28 from Naquan Tomlin, 32 for David Jones, and you've got a guy like Jaquan Walton that only scored 3 points, but 13 rebounds. I mean, what he was doing defensively.
His best defensive game.
Well, absolutely. And then I think Nicholas Jourdain brings so much in terms of hustle, in terms of what he does defensively, rebounding the ball. 8 points, 4 rebounds, in a steal. I mean, I thought, especially that second half, but I thought a really, really impressive game from all of those starters.
And UAB got in early foul trouble and a lot of technicals in that game yesterday, and then what Andy Kennedy did, and I think his team was over that by that point. But the magic moment at the game. Pete Pranica, he'll go hammer nail coffin when he knows the Grizzlies have it. And I think I've asked him this. I wonder if he's ever done it too soon and it didn't turn into a win. And I'm sorry, I can't remember. But you know that magic moment. It goes from unmagical to magic moment. Right. I mean, you barely settle in your seat in the second half.
Yeah, no,
I mean, this is name the score.
Yep. No, I mean, it was, I just don't think I've seen a game, college basketball, NBA, a game that, even high school basketball, where you have such a deficit at the end of the first half, and then just like that, you're back in the game in the second half. I mean, it was so quick, and then they're rolling. I'll tell you what, I know they were rolling. The hammer nail coffin moment of that game last night was when UAB's guard, I don't remember who it was now, I'm looking at Eric Gaines in the second half, kind of maybe 7-8 minute mark. Something happens where the ball gets rolled over to the Memphis bench. One of the coaches or one of the players throws it back. Eric Gaines gets the inbound pass and immediately dribbles over to the Memphis bench, says something to the Tigers bench, and is immediately teed up. That was the hammer nail coffin moment, because that's when coach has already lost it. He's been ejected. Now the players are starting to lose it, and it's unraveling very quickly for UAB. And that was the moment where, okay, we could rest the starters rest of the game, and this one's over.
Yeah, and it was named the score from that point on. And for Memphis, the win of the year.
Yeah,
I know Virginia was probably a bigger name. Clemson was probably more solid, but the stakes you're playing for, with yesterday being an elimination game, is Saturday at Boca Raton.
It's such a good question, because I and that might be a question for Shelby Mass, because I don't know. I mean,
I don't either. I don't think so.
I don't think it is, but I mean, it just seems like the Tigers are all over the board when it comes to bracketology. I mean, some people have them higher on the bubble. Some people have them, next 4 out. Some people have them even first 4 out. And then you've got other people that don't even list them in terms of a bubble team. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I know yesterday it renders Saturday not as big, not big at all.
Sure.
If UAB wins that game. And you said earlier, for seeding, for AAC seeding, we're really going to do that in the next segment. We might do that now. I want to get deep into that, because I fought the printer ink cartridge this weekend and won. I got my bracket in front of me.
That's beautiful, Brett. I mean, it's bracket time. We got first round
I'm
games
telling you,
the A-Sun
when
tonight.
I get those printer inkjets successfully installed,
love it.
Bill Gates writing DOS, the program for DOS, he couldn't have been any happier.
Oh man, I love that for you, Brett. I'm glad. When you're successful with something like that, it just makes me happy.
It's like being at the top of K2.
Oh, that's great. I love that. So no, well, we're gonna do a lot of that, talking about the American in this next segment, because it's getting interesting now. I mean, and I think I saw somebody on social media point out that a week ago, I didn't think there was a prayer the Tigers would be able to get that first round bye, but now it looks very, very favorable for the Tigers. So let's go ahead and get to a quick break. We're going to do that on the other side. So let's get to a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about what the American looks like, what some of these scenarios look like. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I am such a failure.
You're going to have to narrow that one down a bit.
As the spokesperson for Central Barbecue, I have failed to tell everyone about the new location in South Haven.
Technically, I'm the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
Well, I haven't told anyone, but there's a new location in South Haven that's super convenient for the people living there. And I haven't told them that location is where all the Central Barbecue catering for North Mississippi comes from.
If we could get back to the Central Barbecue spokesperson thing, see, you have to do this because you work here.
Now I have no clue how I'm going to face the people of South Haven. I have besmirched the name Central Barbecue spokesperson.
Besmirched?
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with two of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Benstorff Realtors. How funny that I received an email about a year and a half ago from a pilot who told me how corny my radio ads were. I told him I agreed. After following up for almost a year, I ended up selling his house, and this was the note I just received from him. Sheldon went far beyond what any agent should normally have to do to get your house sold. From the first contract falling through on the day of closing, to the utilities being shut off when we were living 1,500 miles away, to dealing with a very inexperienced buyer's agent. He handled it all and got our house sold for a great price. Sheldon has a special purpose in life, and it is getting your house bought or sold in a very professional manner. Thanks, Tim. So if you or someone you know is thinking of selling their home, remember, when you want the job done, call Sheldon. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is, when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Are you aware? It's patio season. Family Leisure sure is. That's why they have factory direct pricing on swimming pools, spas, and even, yes, patio furniture. Yes, sir, it's indeed patio season. So come by Family Leisure and check out all the brand new 2024 patio furniture sets. And with patio season here, you know that pool season will be here before you even know it. So buy now to get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Plus, you could save $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even up to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Family Leisure has got special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and even outdoor kitchens. I love it when it's patio season because of all the fantastic deals that Family Leisure makes available just for you. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure studios. We talked about it a little bit before the break, but it's interesting now for the Tigers right now in the fourth spot in the American. As we know, those top four seeds get the first round bye. So it's looking a lot better than it did even a week ago with what the Tigers have done winning these games, but also what the rest of the American have done. Some tough losses for some of those teams that were ahead of the Tigers, and now they're in a really, really good spot to get that first round bye, and obviously that helps a ton when you talk about trying to win this conference.
And it's not like last year that you wanted to be opposite of Houston, and the Tigers were, and it naturally flowed. The 2 and the 1 met in the finals, and the Tigers prevailed. Mm-hmm. No, is anybody scared of USF? I'm sorry, I just don't think they're very good, and I don't think you can cherry pick. You can't use November, December for you if it's good, but not take in the bad from the other teams, and they were bad then, and I don't think they're very good now. I know they're on a roll. No way if they don't win the automatic bid do they get in at large.
No, I don't think so. The metrics are not very high on them, and I think right now we've talked about it before. A lot of people think that they're in as a at-large team because of, you go to some of these brackets and they have them, but that's just a placeholder for the conference champion. And because Florida Atlantic is not in there, they have to put a placeholder there in case it is another team that wins the American that's not a team that's already in their bracket. And so that's why USF is in there as well as they've been playing. I like watching this USF team. That's the only reason they're in there is because they're in first place.
I want to be optimistic, but I think I like to be realistically optimistic.
Sure.
And if FAU wins Saturday and they win in Fort Worth, I think this is a one-bid league.
No, I'm with you. I absolutely am with you, and obviously want the Tigers to do what they can to get in. But I've been saying that for a while. I think this is a one-bid league. I think for it to be a two-bid league, somebody outside of Florida Atlantic would win the conference.
Wednesday night, FAU at North Texas. Who are we for through the prism of the Tigers? Who are we for?
Ooh, that's a really good question because
you can still get the two if FAU lost to North Texas and the Tigers beat them at home.
Sure.
But it would rim wreck FAU's net that's now at 30. Where are they? 35? Yeah, they're 35.
They are at 35.
That would destroy it.
Yeah.
10 spot hit.
Something around there.
Well, lose to North Texas and to Memphis, it would really do it.
Yeah, I mean that's a big hit.
Then Memphis could be the one bid team.
Yeah. That's a good question. I have no idea. I think I want Florida Atlantic to win.
I do too. To set up Saturday's bigness.
Yeah. I don't think you want them coming off a loss. I also don't think you want them coming off a loss in terms of oh man, we're all mad that we lost that game on Wednesday and we're coming out guns a-blazing on Sunday.
The three's there to be had, isn't it?
Sure. No, absolutely. So I mean,
Charlotte leaking oil.
They are. They have not been playing well, really since they got blown out here against the Tigers. And so, I think they have somebody midweek that's a tough one. I think
they have Rice at home,
and Rice has been kind of surprising some people.
Then they go to East Carolina. They could lose that one.
Yeah, they could. They've not been playing well, and so it's very in play. I mean, that you could get as high as the 2, but certainly that 3 seed is definitely in play.
So, but the Tigers sure can hold on to the 4 where they currently are.
Definitely.
With even with a loss to FAU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you mentioned it earlier with the Tigers only having to play one game, that benefits them in a ton of ways. One, with the seeding, it benefits them that they have all the games behind them and only have one left to play, but also rest and getting ready for that one against FAU. So you got a lot of other teams that have now 2 times where they could stub their toe and maybe drop one here. For the Tigers, you're just playing for that game on Saturday.
So if they stayed at 4 and SMU stayed at 5, they would probably meet on Friday. SMU would have to play on Thursday against the winner of the 12 and the 13. I think they would take care of business. That would either be UTSA or Tulane as it stands today. And a third game against SMU. Beat them at FedEx Forum, kind of held on or came back and won narrowly in the rock bottom of the year at Moody.
Yeah, and so I think they would be up for that one. I think obviously that's what this Tiger team needed. They've obviously been playing much better since that blowout loss, and I think they'd want to repay what SMU did to them down in Dallas, and so I wouldn't mind seeing SMU in that first game.
So hanging in there at that 4, and that would be a mid-afternoon game, 2 o'clock listed. We know how these tournaments work, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Especially baseball.
Oh, man, yeah. You never know.
Especially at Hoover. The old 9:30 game never starts on time.
Oh, and Brett, rain clouds, they never miss Hoover. I mean, it's always raining at Hoover.
No, it sure doesn't. But we won't have to worry about rain at Dickey's Arena, do we?
No. Thankfully, indoor sports.
4 years ago, I had to worry about the vid at Dickey's Arena, though.
That's a good point. But no, I mean, I think you're right. I think the Tigers, with the 4 seed, if you start off with SMU, I like that a lot. USF, if they win their first game,
bring all that on.
Meet that in the semifinals, and then hopefully set up a third game against FAU.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Bring all that on.
Yeah. No, I like where the Tigers have put themselves, and
and I think that the automatic avoids Dayton. Now the seed's not going to be. Seed's probably going to be a 10.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, I think, any way you get in at this point, you're going to be listed as the away team one way or the other. And so I think you need to get ready
It's bracket
for that.
time. We got brackets tonight. I'm not kidding you, Brian. All my life, I'm not kidding you. When I was 10, 11, 12 years old, I could go to a Christmas time holiday tournament and be standing out there and kind of in the lobby where the concession stand is, and they would have the brackets up.
Oh, yeah.
And I can remember going over and asking somebody, what's all this mean? I mean, what do you do? So, these teams are playing right here, and if they win, and then the whole loser bracket thing.
Man.
And it was really complicated. We love a bracket because you can look at the MAAC tournament or the MAC tournament, the NEC. You can look at any bracket and kind of. Well, I kind of like that one over that one. If they meet this one, we do that in our head.
Absolutely. And, I mean, it's something about a bracket, Brett. Everybody loves them, and they're great. And
Look what it did for college football with just 4 teams.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just 4. That wasn't really a tournament.
No. Well, but it shows you just how much everyone loves it, that we haven't even seen the 12-team playoff, and we're talking about a 14-team playoff.
And we're doing bracketology.
That's right. So, no, everyone loves a bracket, and it's just hard to believe. I mean, I'm looking at this, someone posted what the bracket would look like if it started today. It's from, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm looking at Memphis as the 7 seed and Rice as the 10 seed, and now we're talking about the Tigers in really good position to get a 4, could even get a 3. So really, really impressive stuff that the Tigers have been doing over these last couple of weeks. But we need to get to a break and wrap up this hour. When we come back, we're talking some college basketball with David Cobb.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Spring is around the corner. That means the sounds of air conditioners cranking up will be in the air soon. Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. This month only, receive $1,000 off the purchase of a new Carrier AC unit. No gimmicks, just $1,000 off for the Choate's Early Bird Carrier AC Special. If your AC is in good shape, call us to get your $60 20-point AC tune-up to get your AC cleaned and ready for the warm seasons ahead. Choate's is here for all your cooling, heating, plumbing, air duct cleaning, and commercial needs. Call us today at 347-8086 to take advantage of these early bird specials. Or to schedule online, visit ChoatesHVAC.com. So turn to the experts with Choates. And remember, let our family serve your family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. I'm looking at what appears to be an accident over here on 40 westbound at Covington Pike. First, it looked like a stalled vehicle. Now there's two fire units over here. Again, that's 40 westbound right at Covington Pike. Looks like a nasty wreck out here in Fayette County. We're also looking at that live on 40 east and westbound around mile marker 28. It's got it slow in both directions on the interstate. Again, out here in Fayette County on 40 east and westbound at the 28-mile marker. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us now on the Sissy's Log Cabin phone line, talk some college basketball from CBS Sports. David, thanks so much for joining us. Have you ever seen a game like the one that happened at FedEx Forum yesterday where UAB comes out, puts up 61 points in the first half and leads by 15 after a Javon Quinterly buzzer beater three, and then the Tigers come out in the second half and put up 60 points to come back and win very comfortably over the Blazers? It was a wild game, to say the least.
I've definitely never seen one like that in person, and it's hard to recall one this season in college basketball that was anything close to that. So, man, and what a time. Like, it's all about the context of it, too, because the context of it is Memphis' back being against the wall. The context of it is their defensive issues looking like they were going to do them in permanently in the first half of that game. And then to come back from that and get a win that you desperately needed, that to me is like, if they go on to make the NCAA tournament, that's going to be one that you look back on and remember for years to come.
What if, David, what if everybody in the preseason for Coach Penny Hardaway in year 6 said, second weekend, What if that lands them? Second weekend, I don't know from what they do from that point. They lose the first game of the Sweet 16, but they get to second weekend. David, that shuts up the detractors, the naysayers, the critics, people that chide, poke forever.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, if you fall short of the NCAA tournament, which is still very much a possibility, the noise is at an all-time high going into next season. So that's the position Memphis is in with less than 2 weeks to go until Selection Sunday.
And it's been said a million times, David, but yet again, the best reality show out there is sports.
100%. I wish they would bring back that Harder Way documentary, because if you could get me behind the scenes and see what all happened with Jordan Brown, and get me behind the scenes on how Naquan Tomlin ended up in the program, and get me behind the scenes on the aftermath of this Malcolm Dandridge situation, that would be premier college basketball content right now. And we'll see where this whole thing ends up, but Memphis continues to be fascinating, interesting, intriguing. Yesterday's game was unbelievable, really. Like, if you watch that game, it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that the team we saw in the second half was the exact same team with the same players and the same coach that we saw in the first half. So, man, the roller coaster continues. You can say what you want about Memphis basketball. Lord knows I have alternated between thinking they're making the Final Four and trying to fire Penny, in the last 2 months. But say what you will, but they are always, always entertaining.
No, they certainly do not leave you bored while watching a game, whether it's one way or the other. They're an interesting team.
Bryant was there yesterday, and,
oh man,
and I felt like texting him. I texted him early in the game, "Are they booing?" He said, "No, none." And I felt like texting him later, "Are they giving him a lifetime contract?"
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, what a twist. But I mean, what else would you expect from this season of Memphis basketball? That game was the perfect encapsulation of what Memphis basketball has been this year. It was unpredictable and rocky and just
trying to kill their fans.
No kidding.
Yeah. So where do they go from here? They still probably got to beat FAU. And then hope for some other bubble teams to lose during conference tournament week, but it's not altogether out of the question that they could somehow backdoor their way into an at-large consideration.
It's been a weird year. The other big team in the state of Tennessee, the Volunteers, a massive road victory for them on the road against Alabama, 81-74. On the road. I mean, it's hard not to be impressed with what the Vols, what Dalton Connect have done this year.
Yeah, and I think what's so impressive about Tennessee's win at Alabama is that it came on a night when Dalton Connect was 1 of 7 from 3.
Got help.
Yeah, he still hit a big shot there late in the game and whatnot, but you see Zakai Ziegler finally back to 100% after he was on the mend from a knee injury that he suffered around this time last year, and getting him back and fully healthy has been huge. And then, you look up and you see Josiah Jordan-James hitting a big 3 from the corner, and you see Jemai Meshack, who's been pretty quiet, locking down defensively and hitting a big shot himself and coming up with a steal. And so that's when Tennessee can be a Final Four contender. It's when the guys other than Dalton Connect play really well. And fortunately for Tennessee, that was the case on the road at Alabama, and that's why they won that game. And so then you talk about the supporting cast playing well on nights when Dalton Connect also plays well. And there you got a team that can beat anybody in college basketball. But, yeah, so I think it's pretty impressive, this Tennessee team. They've got a shot to win the SEC outright. Tough final week, but if they take care of South Carolina and Kentucky, I think we're going to see them going into the SEC tournament in Nashville next week, projected widely as a number 1 seed for the NCAA tournament.
Congratulations to the Vols. They beat Alabama at Coleman, I think, on the biggest day in Alabama basketball history, with the buildup of game day and Coach Saban sitting with Kalen DeBoer and sitting with Jalen Milroe and sitting with Justin Thomas and sitting with Jimmy Sexton. That whole row net worth about $400 million.
Yeah, no kidding. And then the other guy there was Trey Mullinax, who's also a PGA Tour golfer.
Okay.
But, you were like, oh, man, Trey Mullinax is at the Alabama game. Normally that would be cool. But in that company, it was like, oh, well, who's this guy? You know?
Well, Trey Mullinak's meet Pete Best, the first drummer for the Beatles before Ringo Starr. He was kind of the odd man out.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
I want to give credit to the Vols, but I do not trust Nate Oates and Alabama to go deep in any tournament.
Well, it's hard to because of how reliant they are on three-pointers. That's just the cold, hard truth with Alabama. When you're so reliant on the outside shot, you're susceptible to lose when it's not falling. And they don't have a top 50 defense to fall back on. So I'm with you. I don't like Alabama in that single elimination format. I think if you put Alabama in a best-of-7 tournament, NBA playoff style, I think they could probably win a best-of-7 against almost anyone
That's true.
in college basketball. But single elimination, all it takes is one bad night. And it's hard to see a team like that making it to the Final Four.
Yeah. Another game that I had my eyes glued to on Saturday was Kansas and Baylor. At Baylor, they get the win 82-74. Kevin McCullough was back for Kansas. He played 32 minutes, but kind of up and down shooting, 0 for 5 from 3, but did finish with 20 points. And it's kind of going back to this Kansas team is not getting much from their bench, relying a ton on the starters. On the other side, Baylor's just playing really, really well. What do you make of this Kansas team? It was a big issue when Kevin McCullough wasn't playing. You definitely missed him on the court. Do you think just tough road game that we've seen many teams face this season in college basketball, or do you think there are some issues with Kansas?
There are issues, but I'm not going to slam the door on the Jayhawks just yet because you see Kevin McCullough can play, and he can look pretty close to 100%, even if he's not. And this is an Oklahoma or a Kansas team that, think about when they won the national title a couple of years ago. They weren't exactly guns blazing down the stretch then either. I mean, they ended up winning the Big 12 tournament, but they went into that thing having lost at TCU and having lost at Baylor. Those are tough places to play, and those are the types of losses that maybe force people to turn the lights out on you prematurely because, this Kansas team still has, I think, the best starting lineup in college basketball. The problem, obviously, is that once you get beyond that, there's nothing there. And so, I don't know. I'm not ready to completely write Kansas off yet. Like clearly they're not going to be a number 1 seed. They're not going to win the Big 12. Houston's going to be the team that everybody's talking about. Iowa State and Baylor are going to be getting a lot of love out of the Big 12 on Selection Sunday. And then, by the way, we're going to have Kansas there lurking in the background with a starting lineup of DeJuan Harris, Kevin McCullough, Johnny Furphy, KJ Adams, and Hunter Dickinson, all of whom are among the top 100 or 150 players in college basketball. So I don't know. I just see that talent in that starting lineup and that Kansas logo, and I see that coach in Bill Self, and I still think that there's something left in the tank there.
Yeah, all that right there will strike fear in another team, especially make or stop with 40 seconds to play. It can. That can cause the difference in moving along in a bracket and not. David, how many teams legitimately go 8 men deep?
It's about half and half, I would say. And it gets fewer at this point in the year because you get into close games with high stakes, and coaches tend to go exclusively with the players who they fully trust. So you see some teams that are deep throughout the season, but once you get into the postseason, that 10-man rotation becomes an 8.5-man rotation, or that 8-man rotation becomes a 7-man rotation. And so there's not a ton, but I would say it's half and half. And Kansas, Gonzaga, 2 teams that come to mind that are very much not deep at all. But then you got teams like UConn that are deep. You got teams like Auburn that are insanely deep and really, really good too. So it's a mix in college basketball.
How deep is Purdue?
They're deeper than they were last year, which is ultimately the point of reference for Purdue because that was a great team, but it lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament because the supporting cast around Zach Edey wasn't very good. Well, it's better. That supporting cast has improved. They continue to shoot the three-point shot as well as almost anyone in college basketball. And the thing that differentiates them from Alabama in that respect is that it's not solely what they rely upon. They've got a maybe 2-time National Player of the Year in Zach Edey, who's getting them points in the paint. An Alabama team doesn't have that.
And
so
that's an elite
Purdue,
club that's ever done it twice, and only one to ever do it 3 times, and that was Ralph Sampson.
I know it's going to be interesting down the stretch. Like over the weekend, there was a lot of buzz around Dalton's neck going into that Alabama game. He didn't really put forth an A+ effort in that game with the national spotlight on Tennessee. So he's got a lot of ground to make up if he wants to challenge Zach Edey, because Zach Edey has continued to be nothing but spectacular. And you should believe in Purdue because of how much better the players around him have gotten this season.
We should, but do we believe in Purdue?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's just hard to really buy it until you see it, because Matt Painter's been such a good regular season coach there.
That Fairleigh Dickinson game sticks in my head.
Well, it should. I mean, it's hard to forget something like that. That was historic and shocking, and it shouldn't have happened. But this team has made Sweet 16s under Matt Painter. They did make one Elite Eight. Now, I mean, what's going to propel them on to the Final Four? It's going to be a close game against a good team where that supporting cast is going to have to knock down open shots, because we know they're going to bring double and triple teams at Zach Edey, and last year they didn't make those shots. They've been making those shots all year long at Purdue, though, and so maybe that'll continue in the NCAA tournament. Maybe it won't, but it's going to be one of the most interesting stories of the month.
David, your colleague Jerry Palm, in his first 4 out, he has Villanova sitting there, the 3rd team listed. Villanova picked up a really big win, a very impressive win over Providence on Saturday on the road. The net really likes what Villanova has done this year. They're like 26, 27 in the net. Do you think they can do enough to get into the tournament with Seton Hall, road game at Seton Hall, and Creighton left in the regular season, and then whatever happens in the conference tournament?
Hey, I'm kind of surprised that Villanova is still first 4 out at this point, because they got that win over Providence, and those were 2 bubble teams, and that, I think, is a quad 1 for Villanova. So seeing them on the outside in with that good of a net is a little surprising, especially since they've been playing so well as of late. But those are 2 perfect opportunities, at Seton Hall and against Creighton. You win one of those, and then you make the semifinals of the Big East tournament. I gotta feel like Villanova gets in. If nothing else, benefit of the doubt for the Blue Blood program when you get down to it for the selection committee. But that's huge for Kyle Neptune, because if they don't make it, he's 0 for 2 on NCAA tournaments, and all of a sudden he goes into year 3 on the hot seat. So, if they make it and they win their first game, I think the all that talk cools significantly, and they're building towards something bigger. But if they fall short, then the future, the momentum, the trajectory of that program is sort of hanging in the balance here.
David, how much does winning 20 games mean?
It's a nice thing to talk about or to brag about or to sort of prop up your coach with or what have you. It's a great marketing material. Ultimately, it depends, because it's about what league are you in. What did you do in the postseason? What were the expectations entering the year? It's meaningful, but it's all about the context of it.
I kind of crack on it that it last really mattered as a metric about 1980. But you go through the tournament when it's revealed, and we have it in front of us in 2 weeks. There won't be many teams on that bracket that didn't win 20.
There will be a couple of Big 12 teams, I think, who because of how much they are beloved by the net and the metrics, who kind of sneak in there, maybe short of 20. But yeah, there won't be a ton. I mean, going through it right now, I mean, those Big Ten teams like TCU and Oklahoma are already at 19. All I got to do is get one more. So yeah, there won't be many. There will be a couple probably who sneak through as automatic qualifiers from lower tier leagues just because they get hot in the next week or two at their conference tournament. But yeah, there aren't going to be a ton of at-large teams short of 20 victories.
When 20 really mattered was back in the day when the season didn't start until either Thanksgiving weekend or the weekend after, first weekend of December. Everybody played 26 games. There were no multi-team events, and there were not many conference tournaments except for the ACC.
It's the same in football. We used to have these 11-game regular seasons. There weren't as many conference championship games. There were only one bowl game. There wasn't a chance to make the playoff and then play a second game and end up having played 15 games, So we talk about that in college football too. Like, oh, well, this such and such a coach has 3 10-win seasons. Well, that sure meant a whole lot more 40 years ago than it does now.
When you're playing 11.
Exactly. And now you're playing 12 just in the regular season with a chance to play as many as 3 more, depending on what your postseason outlook is. So it's, those metrics and those numbers have certainly changed.
And I got that with a lot of questions around bowl time this year for Ole Miss around the Peach Bowl of going for the 11th win, first time in school history. And a lot of people, I think, truly were surprised. Is that right? Because back in the Vault days, played 9 regular season games, and going to the Sugar Bowl was the 10th game.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like school records or best seasons in school history or who is the winningest coach, honestly, winning percentage is probably a better way to look at it than just sheer volume of victories. Because I would venture to guess that John Vaught had a season or two with a better winning percentage, So it's just that they didn't play as many games back then. So it's just it's
General
apples
Nealon.
and oranges.
Yeah. And
exactly.
a lot of Coach Murphy here at the University of Memphis. A lot of David Cobb with us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. David, perfect segue into football. Historic day in Tuscaloosa today. I don't know if he goes up in the tower. I don't know if Nick Saban ever went up in the tower, but somebody in charge at practice not named Nick Saban at Alabama today.
Wild, isn't it? Isn't it crazy?
Still hard to believe.
With my buddies after the Tennessee-Alabama basketball game, of course, it's a group text full of people who attended the University of Tennessee, so naturally they were all quite thrilled with the outcome. And I was like, well, I guess, if you guys bought a third Saturday in October victory cigar in October that you didn't get to smoke, maybe this is the time to do it. And then one of them responded and was like, oh, I actually already did that the day Saban retired.
Smoke them if you got them.
That's right.
So that was the closest thing to an actual on-field victory over Alabama that a lot of Tennessee fans got over the past year. But, it is. It's wild. It's crazy. You think about, too, he's got a lot of stuff to deal with. I mean, this isn't going to be an easy task. Replacing Nick Saban was going to be tough for anybody, but then you look at who all they lost. And then you look at the fact that he didn't get Ryan Grubb on the staff, the offensive coordinator who he had at Washington. He's staying in Seattle and working for the Seahawks. So Kalen DeVore, I would venture to say, is likely going to end up calling his own plays, if I had to guess. So that's a lot on your plate when you're the CEO of Alabama football.
$1 million question, not $1 million band, but $1 million question. What is success year one for him? I know we'll ask that 1 million times, and that'd be a big think piece at media days, but what is success for Kalen DeBoer first year?
I mean, Kalen DeBoer should just be so grateful that the playoff is expanding to 12 this year because it widens the safety net for him. You can make the 12-team playoff if you're Kalen DeBoer, and just like we're talking about the difference in records between eras, like he can say, well, I made the college football playoff my first year as a head coach. I'm one of only 5 coaches who have ever made the college football playoff in their first season or whatever. And obviously there's a huge asterisk there because the playoff is tripling in size. But I just think that gives him such a safety net. And if you're Alabama and you go 9-3, do we really believe that 9-3 Alabama doesn't make the playoff? I mean, I guess it depends who their victories are against, but to me, that's a very reasonable record and would get them to a benchmark of success that would be hard to dispute.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, but a ton of eyes are going to be on him for sure this year in his first season. Going back to basketball real quickly, we had the big news coming out of Houston today. Their really good freshman that's coming off the bench, JoJo Tugler, is going to be out for the rest of the season. How big is that for a Houston team that's been very consistent this year? I think they were number 1 again in the AP Top 25 poll this week. What is that, even though he's a bench player, what does that mean for Kelvin Sampson's team? I think I read that this is the 3rd season-ending injury that his roster has faced this year?
Quietly, yes, because most of them have been guys who are sort of on the periphery of the rotation. But they've been hit harder by the injury bug than a lot of people realize. Terrence Arsenault was supposed to be a big-time player for them this year, and he's been out. So, but the thing is, you remember a couple of years ago, Houston had a similar type of injury bug, and then still manage to make the Final Four. It almost feels like it doesn't matter who Kelvin Sampson has on his team. He gets them to play well beyond what would be their defensive capacity at any other program. And I feel the same way this year. You look at L.J. Cryer, who I wouldn't have called a good defender when he was at Baylor. But he transfers to Houston, and all of a sudden he's a great defender. And so to me, it's not ideal for Houston, but it's almost like it doesn't matter who he has available. He puts them out there, and they perform. And, I mean, it's just another reason why Kelvin Sampson should probably be in the National Coach of the Year conversation. And if he's not the Big 12 Coach of the Year, then why are we even giving the award out? I mean, this is their first year in the league, and it looks like they might win it by multiple games. So that's phenomenal. It's insane. And I'm not too worried about Houston despite the injuries, because they've got their best dudes. And at this time of year, if you got 6 or 7 to trot out there, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Virginia, a team Memphis saw earlier this season, and played really well in the ACC. Over the last couple of weeks, they've really been struggling, lost 3 of their last 4 games. And when you look at some of those results, only put up 48 against Duke, only put up 44 against North Carolina, only 41 points on the road against Virginia Tech. Only 1 game left in the regular season against Georgia Tech. But is there any way, I think Jerry Palm has them on the 10 line right now, could you see Virginia playing themselves out of March?
I bet Virginia ends up in a first 4 game. I don't know exactly what that path ends up being, if they flame out of the ACC tournament, whatnot, I don't know. I think there's enough good on that resume to get them in, but I don't think they deserve anything more than the first 4, because you talk about the eye test, like they fail it on a regular basis. And it's kind of crazy because you go back a month ago, Virginia was in the ACC title hunt with Duke and North Carolina with a coach in Tony Bennett who's won a national title, and then they've just fallen off a cliff. They need their Dalton Connect next year, because this is a defensive-oriented program at Virginia that is just collapsing because of how inept they are offensively. So if I'm Tony Bennett, I'm looking at, all right, we've won a lot of games with this style and this system, but it's a new day in college basketball, and you got to have somebody who can put the ball in the basket. And, I mean, if I'm a Virginia fan, I'm already looking ahead and thinking, I hope somebody gets in the portal that can academically qualify for UVA.
Yeah, no, it's been rough. And then I mentioned what they're putting up. I mean, giving up 73 to Duke, 68 to Boston College, 75 to Virginia Tech. I mean,
that loses with offense.
Yeah, I mean, even with the usually it's defense. Oh, they're going to bring the defense, but they've really been struggling on both ends as of late. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm psyched. Tonight we get the first conference tournament started with the A-Sun. They've got 2 games tonight, so we've already got some March Madness cooking. A couple teams will be eliminated tonight. As always, David, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Monday.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Be on the lookout tonight. Duke might get court stormed if they lose at NC State, and that would be interesting. Jay Billis would not be happy.
No, he
Good
would
take.
not.
Something
really
to keep
an eye on. Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, guys.
David Cobb from CBS Sports. He joins us every single Monday, talk some college football and college basketball as we're getting down the stretch. I mean, for a lot of these teams, we're talking 2 games, 1 game left, and then we'll be talking conference tournament, and then we'll have the
not
the
many
official
losses
bracket.
left in people.
No, and for some people, that's a good thing. If you've done all this work and you're on the right side. Only having 1 game left is definitely good, but for some of these teams on the outside, only having 1-2 games left is definitely hurts their chances of getting in as an at-large. So we'll see what happens over this week before really all of these conferences get to their conference tournament. Well, we need to get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some bracketology with Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Are you aware? It's patio season. Family Leisure sure is. That's why they have factory direct pricing on swimming pools, spas, and even, yes, patio furniture. Yes, sir, it's indeed patio season. So come by Family Leisure and check out all the brand new 2024 patio furniture sets. And with patio season here, you know that pool season will be here before you even know it. So buy now to get in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Plus, you could save $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even up to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Family Leisure has got special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and even outdoor kitchens. I love it when it's patio season because of all the fantastic deals that Family Leisure makes available just for you. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Yo, Mark, long time no see. You still down at Dyer's?
Man, I'm not down at Dyer's. I'm out at Collierville Historic Town Square.
When'd you move out there?
We've been out there for about 13 years. We've got the shops, the park, we got the train the kids like to play on.
You still cooking those burgers the old-fashioned way?
Man, we're still flattening out those hamburger balls on a slab of marble and skillet frying them the old-fashioned way like they've been doing for 100 years.
Dude, you still have those onion rings.
Man, they're fantastic. Hand-breaded, served up just right.
I loved those milkshakes. Please tell me you're still doing those.
Man, we are hand-dipping those shakes, putting them in the old glass in the shake tin, served the old-fashioned way.
You got any new items out there I need to know about?
We're just doing a lot of gourmet sandwiches. We've got farm-raised catfish straight out of the Delta. We've got some hot tamales from Pasquale's Tamales out of Helena, Arkansas.
Man, are they served in the husk?
What those guys like to say, they're so good, you'll suck the shuck.
Go see my buddy Mark at Dyer's Cafe in Collierville's historic town square.
The best athletes don't just play the game, they change it. When it comes to investing, Gainbridge is doing the same. Their online platform does things differently because it's designed to put you in charge of growing your own savings. It's intuitive, it's easy, and best of all, it's on your terms. No wonder Gainbridge has earned the trust of 40% repeat customers. It's a better way to invest because it's investing your way. Get started today at Gainbridge.io.
I am such a failure.
You're going to have to narrow that one down a bit.
As the spokesperson for Central Barbecue, I have failed to tell everyone about the new location in South Haven.
Technically, I'm the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
Well, I haven't told anyone, but there's a new location in South Haven that's super convenient for the people living there. And I haven't told them that location is where all the Central Barbecue catering for North Mississippi comes from.
If we could get back to the Central Barbecue spokesperson thing, see, you have to do this because you work here.
Now, I have no clue how I'm going to face the people of South Haven. I have besmirched the name Central Barbecue spokesperson.
Besmirched.
Sports 56 traffic.
THP still trying to clean up this wreck with injuries out here in Fayette County. It's been slow for a while on 40 westbound at the 28-mile marker. Limited rubbernecking going eastbound. Again, it's a mess out here in this section of Fayette County on 40 going westbound. Hopefully we'll get to move along a little bit better here in a few minutes as it starts to pick up on 240, especially going eastbound up by Walnut Grove. Still moving right now over here on 55 in the construction. That still wants to run a little bit heavy today northbound in the construction up towards Crump. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure studios, and joining us now to talk some bracketology on our Sissy's Log Cabin phone line, Shelby Mast from bracketwag.com joins us now. Shelby, thanks so much for joining us as we get closer and closer to Selection Sunday. We've got some conference tournaments starting today and this week. Next week, we'll have a ton of them starting off. But I do want to start off with the Memphis Tigers, a wild one yesterday at FedEx Forum. Down by 15 at half, down by as many as 22 in the first half, but they come back and win very, very comfortably. You've got them right now in your first four out alongside Providence Providence, James Madison, and Colorado. What has Memphis showed you over these last couple of weeks for you to put them back into that bubble conversation, and what do they need to do to try to get into the bracket as a at-large team?
Well, I think they showed desperation and hunger yesterday. I mean, that they're down 22. They lose that, season's over, unless they win the conference tournament.
Yep.
They may not have changed what they need to do. They may still have to win it, but there is a path to get there if they don't. And that would also, they need help from other teams above them losing.
You have them, as Bryant said, fourth. I said earlier, Shelby, for some that don't understand kind of the bracketology terminology and jargon and vernacular, that's basically fourth alternate. Providence first alternate, JMU second, Colorado third. On your bracket, Memphis fourth. Then you have Wake Forest 5, A&M 6, Butler 7, Ole Miss 8. Got Virginia as the first one of your last four in. It seems pretty safe. How much does the Memphis head-to-head win over Virginia matter in that committee room?
If it came down to a spot in the bracket and it's between those two, it might matter. I got to think that would matter. But for everything else, if there are 2 or 3 spots apart, then it doesn't come into play at all. Virginia, to me, is leaking water badly. They're not competitive in games that they're losing. I think that we figured out they've lost 7 or 8 games of their 9 by 15 or more points. So not only are they getting beat, but they're getting beat bad. Yeah. And that's not what the committee wants. They only have, I think, 1 quad 1 win. It's just a resume that screams NIT, but I kept them in. I'm beating myself up about it.
And you have Memphis ahead of Wake Forest and Texas A&M. Memphis played and defeated Texas A&M in College Station in December. Shelby, I take you seriously. I can't take A&M seriously, though. In any bracketology, on anybody's mock, on in or out or 4 or 6 or 12, it's just too many losses for me.
Yeah, it is me too. They've got some very impressive wins, but they've accumulated a lot of losses, and they're getting to the point of no return. They probably are already there, but again, I got to have some teams to compare others to.
Does anybody talk strength of schedule? Does it matter?
Yes. Out of conference is significant and very important. The committee looks at that. They study that. And when the reveal came out 2 weeks ago, Iowa State probably got dinged because of it. I think they were good enough for a 2, and they had wins, but most of the damage they did out of conference was against the net 200 and below. It was bad.
This weekend, you spent it with fellow bracketologists at a get-together, and I always tell people, they want to be right. Shelby doesn't have any, and none of them. They don't have any axe to grind. You're not putting Florida ahead of Michigan State because you hate Michigan State. I know you jokingly say you hate everybody's team, but I know you're joking. You want to be right. You don't want to miss, and you want to learn from this year to apply it for next year. What did you learn this weekend that you applied today to your bracket?
Being in the same room with all those guys, I mean, there's only 5 others and me. So it's not a full committee, but we got pretty close. But I had things to offer that those guys hadn't thought of. They had plenty of things to offer that I hadn't thought of, and putting our minds together, and we vote on it. It's not say, I think Baylor's a 3 seed. We vote on our top 8 and pairs it into 4 and take those 4, carry them over, and vote for more. And it's just an ongoing process like that. So we can't say from the beginning of it, we want a certain team and a certain seed. We're going to vote to see how that turns out. But it's so enlightening to go through that and see how other minds are looking at these teams.
Who's the team that caused the biggest argument, conversation about who's the one that's the most controversial?
Yes, there were quite a few. Nobody got angry, no punches thrown. It was all good fun, but we had a tough time with the Big 12, Iowa State, Kansas, Baylor. They're probably going to be seeded 2, 3, and 3. It's just a matter of what order. Then we had more discussion with the Big 12, Texas Tech, Texas, Oklahoma, and TCU. So they're all probably going to be in 8, 9, but what order? And then we have to worry about seeding or placing teams in the bracket. There's one of them that could possibly play Houston second round, and that's Oklahoma. So there's a lot of things we had to go through. When we got down near the cut line, we're looking for some slight edge with these teams, and maybe we found it, maybe we didn't. I don't know.
Talking to Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com. He joins us on Mondays to talk bracketology on our Sissy's Log Cabin phone line. Right now, you got Iowa in your last 4 in. Brett talked about Virginia earlier. I've really enjoyed watching this Iowa team really all season long. Lately, I think winners of 4 of their last 5 been playing really well in the Big Ten, including a couple of big wins in there. What do you like about Iowa, and what for you puts them on the right side of the bracket?
Well, every year we look for a team that's getting hot at the right time. Iowa seems to be that team. They weren't really in the discussion. I hadn't wrote them off completely, but they were far enough down where I wasn't taking them seriously. And maybe the team heard about that. I don't know. Probably not. But they have reeled off some nice wins in a row and some impressive road wins, too. And so they have worked their way back into the conversation. And they've been helped a lot by the other bubble teams in that general area taking losses, and especially losses they shouldn't have. And so that has helped boost Iowa. And they're not safe by any stretch, but they're a whole lot safer than they were 2 weeks ago.
You said hot at the right time, and you also used the word seriously. Tell us seriously, are we too close to the fire here? Anybody in that room talking about the Memphis Tigers getting hot at the right time, or is that just us here?
They say, well, we all agree that Memphis is still in the discussion. They need to win a few more games, but they're not out of it. We don't think. But, indication was for me and others that they've got work to be done. It can be done. Will it be done? That's the question.
But this league, the AAC, Brian and I both agree that if FAU wins the tournament in Fort Worth, it could be a one-bid league. If Memphis won the tournament in Fort Worth and FAU lost Wednesday night and Saturday to Memphis, it could be one-bid league. I don't think it can be one-bid league with South Florida because I think FAU would pop in as at large. What's the dynamic? What's the reputation of the AAC?
I think that's about what the consensus was. It's a one-bid league unless South Florida wins, and then they've got a chance for it to be a two-bid league. Because if South Florida wins, that means FAU took at least one other loss, probably to a team that's not great or wasn't a good loss. And they're going to have a very tense selection Sunday.
When I look at South Florida, I see a bad net, kind of just in general, not a kind of great appearance, nationwide about being a basketball school whatsoever. Yes, they've gone on a magical run, but we think it's against a pretty flawed conference. And I go back to they lost to Central Michigan. They lost to Maine. They lost to Hofstra. They lost to UMass. I know they beat Florida State, but Florida State's not any good.
Right. I think there is too much bad on their resume and not nearly enough good that will get credit for this nice streak they're on. But what hurts them, I think, the AAC played their conference schedule. They set it up so that the top 7 teams, I think it was, played each other twice. And South Florida was not supposed to be one of those top 7, they don't play every of the top teams twice. They just play them once. So that hurts them, is not getting a second game against better competition. I firmly believe the committee doesn't reward, or usually doesn't reward, a good season with not any meat on the bone, and this will be one of those cases, I think.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that. Another thing I noticed on your bracket that was a little different from last week. Last week we talked about, I believe you had Arizona as your final number 1 seed. You have Tennessee in there now, coming off the massive win on the road against Alabama. You dropped down Arizona down to the 2 line, and you said in your little write-up that Tennessee has just had more opportunities for quality wins, quality opponents, and they've taken advantage of those. And you're absolutely right. 6-5 in quad 1 right now, 6-1 in quad 2. So 18 quad 1 or quad 2 games. They've just had a ton of it. What has that meant for them, especially when you start looking through this roster? We talked about earlier about the non-conference strength of schedule. I mean, just looking through some of the quad 1 opponents they've played: Wisconsin, Purdue, Kansas, North Carolina, Illinois. How big has it been for Tennessee to have so many good teams on their schedule?
Yeah, I think it helps to have that many good teams, but the fact that they've taken care of enough quality wins, the worst loss by the net is either at home versus South Carolina, a tournament team, or on the road to A&M, an almost tournament team, but it is in their building. Other than that, you lose to Purdue. Woo. That doesn't hurt you at all. And so they beat enough good teams, I feel, we did as a committee, that they jump ahead of Arizona. And it's not to take anything away from them,
right? But
Arizona's playing much weaker competition, especially this late in the season. There's no chance for them to get big wins unless it's the finals of the Pac-12 tournament.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Tennessee has been taking advantage of this schedule lately, and especially that win. They look really, really good right now. Well, Shelby, thanks so much, as always, for joining us. Next week when we talk to you, we'll be only a handful of days away from Selection Sunday.
Yes, we will. Big conference tournament week.
That's right. It's going
to enjoy the ball, Shelby.
Thanks, Shelby.
All right, thanks, guys.
Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com joins us every Monday around this time to talk bracketology. Go check out his most recent bracket at BracketWag.com. He's updating it every single day. And I mentioned he most days has a little bit of a write-up there so you can see kind of what has gone into the changes that he makes on a day-to-day basis. Always really good stuff from Shelby. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
I am such a failure.
You're going to have to narrow that one down a bit.
As the spokesperson for Central Barbecue, I have failed to tell everyone about the new location in South Haven.
Technically, I'm the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
Well, I haven't told anyone, but there's a new location in South Haven that's super convenient for the people living there. And I haven't told them that location is where all the Central Barbecue catering for North Mississippi comes from.
If we could get back to the Central Barbecue spokesperson thing, see, you have to do this because you work here.
Now, I have no clue how I'm going to face the people of South Haven. I have besmirched the name Central Barbecue spokesperson.
besmirched.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text JUDGE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 42424. That's JUDGE to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Women here in Memphis are wearing bigger, better quality diamonds and some amazing designer rings thanks to the arrival of Genesis Diamonds. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis came on the scene here last year and shook up the jewelry world big time with rock-bottom prices on diamonds, a selection that's like 20 times ordinary stores, designer rings you can't find anywhere else, and guarantees and warranties that are the strongest in America. A relaxed, no-pressure, laid-back experience with no commission salespeople. Everybody here is loving what Genesis is doing. Whether you want a lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond, Genesis will easily beat anyone else's price. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler, and Genesis has cornered the market on the world's most acclaimed designer rings. They have all the top 10 designers in the bridal world, thousands of handcrafted rings made by the premier designers. For whatever special occasion you have coming up, don't go to the old-fashioned stores for the same old, same old. Discover the store that's raised the bar in quality, selection, and value. Prepare to be blown away. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store. With 20 employees along with complete inventory of items, big to little, finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and Weber grills. And the Garden Center has everything for your yard. You can get glass cut, repair screens, even new keys with key fob programming. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws, you need it, East Memphis Ace Hardware has it. And they're just down the street at the corner of Quince and White Station.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy.
I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I've got two big numbers today. One college basketball big number, one NBA big number. And I'll start with the NBA big number. The number is 3. Last night, I saw this on Twitter. Only 3 players in NBA history have achieved 30-plus points per game, 5-plus assists per game, 5-plus rebounds per game, and 2-plus steals per game on 50% shooting from the field in a season. The first person to do that was Michael Jordan, who did it in 1988, 1999, 1990, 1991, and 1992. The other person to ever do it in a season was Steph Curry, who did it only once in 2016. This year, there is one player in the NBA that is currently on pace to have a similar season, and that would be OKC's point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Just an unbelievable year for him, and I think they were talking about it on the ESPN broadcast last night. I think really should be in the conversation for MVP this year.
Great stat, Brian.
Thank you.
Great big number, and you mentioned it in your not top story about here comes OKC.
Yeah.
Is it a year or too soon?
I think so, but still, I mean, super impressive.
But you don't say, no, thank you. We're not going to compete. You're too soon.
No, we don't
We're going
want
to set this one out.
Seed. We want, put us way back. We'll wait a year, and then here we go.
Because you get in the playoffs, don't want this to happen, but what if you got all the way to the NBA Finals and that ankle turned the wrong way for Jason Tatum?
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. And so it's just been a really fun year, and what the numbers he's been putting up has just been unreal. My second big number from college basketball is the number 57. This was during the game yesterday on CBS, and I missed it, but I saw it on Twitter. CBS just said Michigan will finish last place in the Big Ten for the first time in 57 years. Unbelievable what has happened at Michigan over these last couple of seasons, from really the highs of highs that started with Juwan Howard's tenure. You bring him back, those first couple of years were really good, and now it's been a struggle, and this season has been really, really bad. And so it sounds like if they remain in last place, which it looks like they will, according to CBS, it'll be the first time in 57 years.
Help me with math. That would be 1967?
I believe so.
I think that's
yes,
right.
Yes.
I think they went to the Final Four with Cassie Russell the year before that.
Really?
Somewhere in there they did.
Wow. So it sounds like a very weird time then. This tweet says Lyndon B. Johnson was president the last time.
Well, he was president in 1967.
So maybe. Yeah, it's been a while since.
And getting a lot of people killed in Vietnam.
Well, yes. Yes.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
My big number is 12, or it could be 60. 12's the number, 60's the percentage of today's AP Top 20 that's never won a national championship.
Wow.
Houston, Purdue, Tennessee, Iowa State, Creighton, Illinois, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Washington State, Gonzaga, and BYU.
Wow.
Never to win a national championship. 4 of the 20 never been to a Final Four. 20% never been to a Final Four. Alabama, Creighton, BYU, and who was my fourth to never even go to a Final Four? Gonzaga, of course, Gonzaga has. Sure. Creighton, BYU, Tennessee.
Tennessee, wow. That's incredible. That is a really good big number. I mean, it seems like we're.
How wide open is it?
I was about to say it seems pretty wide open, but I think
it's wide open to come in second.
I think once we get down to it, I think the teams that
UConn's
are
so much better than last year.
It's really incredible to watch what they do on a game-to-game basis. But I don't know. I mean, I think there are a handful of teams that could be up there. I just don't know. I mean, I like Houston, but I think that might be the battle. UConn and Houston. I don't know outside that. I got money on Arizona, but
we'll pick this up at 5:30 real quick. I know we're short on time, but 2 hard ones.
Okay.
How does it go over here if Oklahoma City wins the NBA championship? And how does it go over here if Tennessee won the national championship?
Well, I'll tell not well for the second one. Certainly not well if Tennessee wins the national championship.
Among Tiger fans.
Right, among
There's
Tiger
a
fans.
lot of Tennessee fans around
Heck,
here.
Brett, yesterday there were 2 Tennessee fans dressed in all orange in the second row.
Look, I'm there on you. You can wear and you can pull for anybody you want to. But you do that, you're going down there to be a provocateur.
Also, nobody's talking about this, but I saw it first time I saw them. They walked right down the walkway, right between the student section to get down to their seats.
Okay, so nothing should happen to you. But if it does, didn't you lead with your chin a little?
Seems like you want everybody to see, and you want certain people, like the student section, to see you walking in your Tennessee gear.
I couldn't afford it, but if I'd have I could have showed up at Wrigley Field for the Cubs World Series. Finally, they're in it, and they're going to win it against Cleveland. How dopey would it be to show up in full Cardinal gear?
No.
Why would you want to do that?
No. It makes no sense.
You can. You sure can.
Stuck out like a sore thumb though yesterday in their
But if somebody tells you to eat stuff, you got to understand it.
Absolutely. On the first one, Oklahoma City, I don't think it would be that bad. I think that kind of rivalry that was there.
But we kind of think we're right there with them, don't we?
We do. But I think with what the season has been, maybe
Save
not
this.
as much.
We'll get back to
We're
it.
going to get back to
Bookmark
it.
this.
We definitely will, and we'll get back to it.
I want to hear on Sissy's Log Cabin text
Sure.
line.
Yeah.
How would it hit? OKC wins it.
Yeah.
Tennessee wins it.
No, I'm curious as well. So get those texts in 901-360-8255, the Sissy's Log Cabin text line. We'll pick that up at 5:30 because we need to get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your buddy Johnny Radio. I'm here with Mark, the owner of Dyer's, out in Collierville's historic town square, where they've been cooking up them burgers since 1912, the old-fashioned way. Mark, what's going on in life? I see you got your 4 kids with you. What do they love about Dyer's?
Man, they love everything about Dyer's. They love all the great food that we serve, and they really like eating our good food and watching some of their favorite sports.
Braden, what do you like at Dyer's?
I like a bacon burger with fries, a milkshake, and with a Tigers game in the background.
Carter, who's your favorite football team?
The Carolina Panthers, and just with some macaroni with that sounds amazing.
My man Beckham, what's your favorite food over at Dyer's?
We like the double cheeseburgers.
Kinley, what is your favorite dish over at Dyer's?
Daddy's cheeseburgers and the Dallas Cowboys game in the background.
Just remember, everybody, bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team out and eat at our place.
So head on over to Dyer's in Collierville's historic town square.
Something bad has happened to Mom.
Streaming March 14th on Peacock.
Joy Delaney, mother of 4, has gone missing.
From the author of Big Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers.
She will come back.
You think we're this, big, happy family?
I have a confession.
Starring Oscar nominee Annette Bening, Sam Neill, Jake Lacey, and Allison Brie.
Secrets will poison any family, and what you don't know can hurt you.
Apples Never Fall. Streaming March 14th, only on Peacock.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can check if you're paying too much for home insurance, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh, you mean like when I let someone with less groceries go ahead in line? Sure, there's a part of me that thinks, if you only need 3 things, maybe go to a convenience store next time. And now they're sifting through coupons and my frozen foods are about to be not frozen.
But still, it's the right thing to do. So compare rates with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back.
The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. THP still trying to clean up this wreck with injuries out here in Fayette County. It's been slow for a while on 40 westbound at the 28-mile marker. Limited rubbernecking going eastbound. Again, it's a mess out here in this section of Fayette County on 40 going westbound. Hopefully we'll get to move along a little bit better here in a few minutes as it starts to pick up on 240, especially going eastbound up by Walnut Grove. Still moving right now over here on 55 in the construction. That still wants to run a little bit heavy today northbound in the construction up towards Crump. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we start our 5 o'clock hour. And joining us now on the Sissy Log Cabin phone line from the Commercial Appeal, the Grizzlies beat writer DeMichael Cole joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. I know we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Grizzlies as they're back in action tonight against the Nets. Before we do any of that, I want to give you congratulations, named top 10 beat writer in Category C of the APSE. Congratulations, DeMichael.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. It's definitely something I'm proud of. First time for me, so looking forward to hopefully getting a couple more of those. But, man, it's always good to, kind of feel rewarded for, a lot of the long days and hours that we as beat writers go through.
Way to go, DeMichael. We are proud of you. Very deserved. Yeah. And you sound like Phil Mickelson after he finally got that first major. He said, no, I'm not content. I want more. Way to go. Keep that flame burning.
Oh, yeah. You got to, Brett. You got to.
Yeah.
You got to. It's just the start, hopefully.
And it's very competitive, both here locally and out there, writ large in the NBA world.
Exactly. I mean, the NBA has so many really good, solid beat writers. I mean, if you look at it through category A, B, C, all of the categories pretty much, there was a heavy NBA presence in the APSE awards. So, I mean, Drew Hill was also on there as well. And, there were a few more, but definitely a NBA presence. NBA is in good hands. Even I know of Mark Stein with his Substack on categories. He was in there. So a lot of really good competition. And that's one of the things that kind of, made it so rewarding for myself, knowing that, seeing some of the names that I was listed with, it was a great feeling.
Just imagine if the league would let somebody else have an exclusive other than Woj.
I can't imagine that.
Nah.
That's the days before my time.
That's right.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, DeMichael, a year ago today, and you wrote about it this morning, a year ago today was the day we all saw the video of Ja Morant in Denver after the game against the Nuggets, kind of early that morning, and then it started circulating that morning where people had screen recorded it and stuff like that. A lot has happened since that video took place. It feels like it was much longer than just a year ago now.
It has, and that's kind of what I was writing about in that story. Basically, not just kind of flashing back to that moment, but a big part of that story was highlighting how, the significance of that moment goes way beyond just, Ja made a mistake or Brandon Clark got hurt. It goes way beyond that because now that, Ja made that mistake and whatnot and Brandon Clark was injured, the Grizzlies made a bunch of decisions off of that, whether it was, upgrading Kenneth Lofton Jr. from the two-way deal to the standard deal, which kind of basically took up another roster spot and put the Grizzlies in, a tougher spot going into that offseason in terms of not a lot of flexibility. And then you go back to the center spot with Steven Adams being hurt. There was still some confidence there, like, okay, we got Brandon Clark. And, some people may not remember, but if you go back to that series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Brandon Clark was arguably the best Grizzlies player. It was between Desmond Bane and Brandon Clark. So not having him was a huge deal. But for both of those guys, and that kind of seemed to start like what I call like a ripple effect, because at the end of the day, I don't think it was coincidence, that they were playing the Denver Nuggets, who were the number 1 seed, who went on to win the NBA championship. And ever since then, those two franchises have kind of went in different directions.
It really did start a moment in the Grizzlies' history. DeMichael, I think it started the biggest moment in Grizzlies' history, because we thought, 2 years ago in that playoff win over Minnesota, in the heartbreaking exit to Golden State, all right, get us to next year. Well, we got to next year, first round exit to LeBron and the Lakers. Well, get us to 2024 and 2025. Now, from that moment to now, it set off a list of unforeseen circumstances that now the franchise it doesn't control, and the gravity of it is really setting in.
Exactly, and that's a good way to point it, because when you think about what franchises plan for, right? One thing that is the toughest to plan for is injuries. You plan for all the financial implications. This guy's extension eligible at this point. You don't plan for Brandon Clark to tear his Achilles. You don't plan for Ja Morant to miss 9 games right in the thick of your seeding and playoff hunt and whatever the case may be. You don't plan on Ja getting a 25-game suspension to start the season. Like, all these things kind of happen. And it feels like that day, last year, March 4th was kind of the start of that. And I think people, I don't know if everyone remembers, but I even started the story off by saying, like, those announcements, like, from the Grizzlies came out 17 minutes apart. Wow. Like, it was just like the hits just kept coming. The Ja announcement came at around 1 p.m., and that's when they announced he would be away for at least 2 games. And then, boom, 17 minutes later, it was confirmed. Brandon Clark tore his Achilles. So it was a lot of tough news, for the Grizzlies at that point. But like Santi Aldama said when I was talking to him, he said, it wasn't easy then, and it hasn't been easy since.
DeMichael, do you think Ja Morant understands the gravity of the set of circumstances that was kind of initiated by that act?
If you would have asked me this at the beginning of the season or last year at any point, I probably would have said, nah, I don't think so, at least not yet. But now, having to watch what this season has become, I mean, how could he not, right? Like, I mean, this is completely different from anything we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years since Ja Morant has been here. So I think he does now. I mean, if he didn't before, this has kind of been an eye-opening moment for him, for the franchise. And it kind of lets you know that, hey, just because, like I said, with the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2011, 2012, they lost in the finals, and no one broke a sweat. Everyone was, they'll be back. It's Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka. That core is going to probably come back 2-3 more times. They never went back. So this season right here, this was one of those years, the Grizzlies will be in the conversation. And it kind of got zapped away from them. And you don't know what next year holds in the year after that. So I feel like he has to have that urgency now, and he will have that urgency because of how this year's played out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, over the weekend, you had back-to-back games at home against the Trailblazers, and both those games were losses, but both very different. Friday night, a blowout after the game. Taylor Jenkins said it was an embarrassing loss, an embarrassing performance from his team. Saturday night, though, the Grizzlies come out, look much better. They lead by as many as 18, but then ultimately, here comes Portland. They come back, they send it to overtime, and then win in overtime. And now, with what happened on Friday, that was 2 games in a row where the Grizzlies were blown out at home. Over these last 21 games of the season, what do you expect that we see more of? Do you expect that we see more of kind of this competitive Grizzlies team that we've seen much of the season with all of these injuries? Or do you think we start to see more of these blowouts and these guys looking more fatigued and more lopsided scores like we saw against Brooklyn and against Portland on Friday night?
Yeah, this was the first time where I felt like the latter there, like where it's like I wouldn't dare say guys are giving up because a lot of these guys got a lot to play for. These are guys who don't have much certainty in their NBA careers beyond these next 20 games or so. Like anything could happen. They could be traded, they could be waived, or they could be re-signed. Like there's just no certainty there. So I feel like they're still going to play hard and whatnot. But I just feel like that was kind of a, it's tough when you lose in general, but the way the Grizzlies lost, with the Nets blowout, as you mentioned, Taylor Jenkins called the first Portland game embarrassing. I was in the locker room there with players, and, it wasn't fun, and I think with the way those things played out, it's definitely kind of, I would say, limited the excitement, in terms of going into the game, around this team. So, whereas in the past, it's like, they like you talk to players, they say, we don't do moral victory. But at the end of the day, Taylor Jenkins has been really encouraged when they're going wire with really good teams, and they falter in the fourth quarter just because those teams have much more talent. But now, I mean, they kind of look like one of the worst teams. In the past, they looked like a trying team. They look like a team. You can tell they're out talented, but they're hustling. And now, when they don't have that advantage, it could happen.
Yeah, 5-game losing streak for the Grizzlies. Grizzlies haven't won since right before the break that win over Milwaukee on February 15th. And now you wonder, DeMichael, do they want to win? Every little percentage helps in moving up for a pick that they may use as leverage in a trade deal. Now we question the motivation for this last stretch.
Yeah, and I think it's a valid question to ask. Do they want to win games? And I mean, you see who they're throwing out on the floor. I mean, they never straight up say that they're not trying to win games. But I mean, I don't think anyone in their right mind would throw out those type of lineup.
No.
But with all due respect to those guys, they're playing hard and whatnot. But in terms of going against Western Conference competition, and be the deepest year, you're going to probably have 10 win more than 41 games this season. That's unheard of. So I think at the end of the day, this is definitely one of those years where it's like, okay, now you have to kind of just come to the realization that draft picks are probably much more important than winning some games.
I think any idea of a return of Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart is fanciful, and I think before we got that, we're going to see the full shutdown of Jaren if we're already not kind of seeing the partial powering down of Jaren.
Yeah, exactly, and I think, like you said, we're already seeing it partially, and it's starting to happen there. But I mean, Jaren has had a great season. I hope that Taylor Jenkins basically said the 25-game thing wasn't really a conversation, but I hope that he gets the opportunity to at least, if he is able to be to be a potential first, second team, whatever the case may be, all league defender. I hope he gets that opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. We're talking to DeMichael Cole. He joins us every single Monday to talk Grizzlies from the Commercial Appeal. You wrote a story last week that I really, really loved about, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, those guys that Brett just mentioned, how even though they're injured, even though they're out, and, we don't really know if we'll be able to see the latter of the three again this season, but they've still been around. They're at every game. They're at practices. They're really making an impact. You talked about Ja Morant has been wearing a whistle at practice and is kind of taking on that kind of almost a coach role. Desmond Bane's in the gym with guys. Marcus Smart is out there working officials during timeouts and stuff like that. What does that mean for these young guys? You mentioned earlier the guys that are playing right now. A lot of them are 5 fighting for their NBA lives. This could be the last time of certainty they have on a roster going into next season. And for these young guys like Gigi and Vince and some of the two-way guys, how big is it to have those veterans around on a day-to-day basis? I think we might have lost Michael. We'll work to get to Michael back and see if we can
we will.
up with him.
And Brian, I'm going to make this point a lot over the offseason going into next year. I don't want to be a broken record about it, but I am going to make this point quite often that next year we need Jaren Jackson, who is a star, who is a great player, who has had a great career. Next year, we need Jaren Jackson to take that first big step into superstardom.
No, you're right. You need to see that, and you want to see him, and I hope he gets to play some more. But if the injuries are there, then I guess you gotta leave him out, and because I don't think you want to risk long-term injury. But like Michael was talking about, I think
he's such an asset.
Yeah, but I think you do, for him to, if those defensive, first team, second team are out there and he can go, I think you want to see him out there. I think we got DeMichael back. DeMichael, I was talking about a story you did last week about these guys that are injured and how they're still around. You talked about John Morant wearing a whistle at practice, Desmond Bain in the gym, Marcus Smart out there working officials during games. How much does that mean for the young guys on this roster like Vince and Gigi, the two-way guys, even these guys that uncertain if they'll be back next year? How big is it to have those three veterans around on a day-to-day basis, kind of coaching them up and teaching them the ways of the NBA?
And it's super important. I think, like you said, they're showing them the way. And when you have a bunch of guys who haven't really been here before, you need that. Like it's the little things, like what players do when they're on a plane, on a road trip and things like that. You got the veteran guys to show you how to play, certain card games or whatever they do to kind of pass by time and just spend time with you. And those guys are all traveling; they're all there, and I think that's it's a big asset.
DeMichael, it was once very legendary around the league that Red Auerbach, on the first day of camp, he would literally tell guys, this is how you wear your socks as a member of the Boston Celtics. Wow. These veteran players can be helping those guys, just grooming them to get them ready next year for this time next year to be around that 3 seed and going for it.
Exactly. It's a culture thing, like you just said with Auerbach. It's all about the culture, right? And we know the Grizzlies over the last few years, they've established a pretty strong culture. But guess what? This is, as I said in that story that I wrote earlier this morning, this is kind of the biggest test of continuity.
Yeah, it derailed everything.
Yes, and the thing that stands out to me was the quote that I put in there from Jaren Jackson Jr. And I would say I would feel pretty confidently in saying that Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably the player from a personal standpoint who was most affected by these trades, like hurt from the personal standpoint. Now I also say that he understands the business side of it as well as anyone on the team. So there is that. But from a personal standpoint, Jaren Jackson Jr., David Roddy, especially Xavier Tillman Sr., those are his guys. So he's been having to, kind of readjust to that. But it's a continuity thing. Like this is the biggest adjustment to continuity that we've seen for the Grizzlies. So establishing that culture and having those guys around has been important.
DeMichael, you can go to Basketball Ref and look at Jaren Jackson's career, and it's simple math. He's played in about 300 some odd career games over 6 years. It's about 52, 53 games a year, and it feels like we're in this powering down mode now for him. Next year, of course, injury-free, we hope for, and get that good blessing team-wide. Next year's got to be the year he appears in 70-plus games.
It's got to be. It's got to be. I completely agree with you. I think, he's been healthy as of late, and and you're talking about a year where we're going to be talking about him being contract extension eligible and all that good stuff. So it's going to be a big year for him.
A lot of incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. DeMichael, when you look at this team and the Grizzlies, that is, and from a health perspective, we did not anticipate what happened this year. But when you look at a fully healthy Grizzlies roster, what they'll go into next season looking like, and you look at the rest of the Western Conference. I mean, we've seen Oklahoma City. Now, this morning, they're the number one team in the Western Conference. Minnesota looks like a different team than they were a couple of years ago. You've got another young team like Sacramento. And, I mean, you look at those four teams that are currently in the play-ins, Suns, Mavericks, Warriors, Lakers, all four of those teams are star-studded. Where would you put a healthy Memphis Grizzlies team among all the rest of the Western Conference?
Man, the best answer I can give you just is in the thick of it. The West, I think, guys, it's teams at 7 and 8 and 9 right now that deserve to feel strongly. I mean, Golden State did just get the socks beat off of them by Boston, but you take that game away, Golden State has been playing some really good basketball as of late. The Lakers can feel like, at any point we can kind of, flip the script. Or if you are, all these different teams, they have reason to be confident in terms of where they can eventually go this season. Like it's so stacked. So I think the Grizzlies would be right in the thick of that. From the standpoint of they will, it's all going to come down to health and all of those type of things. With those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and hopefully next year, health. We won't see a season like this again, and they'll be right there in the thick of things in a Western Conference that just continues to get better and better. Well, tonight, Grizzlies on the road against the Brooklyn Nets. DeMichael, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, take care, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, DeMichael.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the award-winning DeMichael Cole. We appreciate him spending his time with us on Monday. And Grizzlies and the Nets, hope it's not a repeat of last Monday night, but there's going to be a lot of those the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And get ready for it.
No, you absolutely can. And we asked DeMichael about that, and I just think this team has fought so hard, but at the end of the day, we're getting kind of down the stretch of the season. Fatigue,
you get tired and weary.
Fatigue is starting to set in, that losing, and I'm sure, I obviously don't know because I'm not playing in the NBA, but I'm sure going out there and being super competitive against some of the best teams in the NBA, leading in the second and third
always have
quarter,
the floor pulled out from under
and then in the fourth quarter, it's like, Groundhog's Day every time you take the court. I mean, that's got to be brutal, and that's got to wear you out. And so I just feel like we're getting to the point of the season where you're going to have a lot of losses, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of the losses that we saw against Portland on Friday and the last time they saw the Nets.
I think most have been, and most should have been very patient with this year because it happened. Now next year, if it's another injury-riddled year, I don't know if I can start now have more patience then. But without injury and everybody hale and hearty and going for it, next year's got to be a big improvement this time because it's a key year for the Grizzlies. We know we're into the month of madness, and it's madness for barbecue month every month in Memphis at the commissary. Two great locations at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the original in Germantown to watch the games and enjoy the games, the daytime games, the nighttime games. It's the perfect place at Houston, Levy, and Poplar at the Collierville commissary to watch and enjoy all the games with a big group. Take your team, your buddies in there and enjoy it and enjoy the Memphis-style barbecue and the ribs. And it's done the slow-cooked Memphis way. If you're craving an easier way to order, they got you covered there as well. Text commissary right now to 33733. But pace yourself and go slow and go through it like a bracket almost. Let the appetizers be the opening round game. The cheese plate, the tamales, the smoked chicken wings, the barbecue nachos. The nachos invented, created in the early 80s at the commissary by Walker Taylor and his team, and then dig into the ribs or the shoulder. That'd be the final four. Chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread, and you can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. Salads are delicious. I've mentioned the hamburger there. And I talked about the hot tamales with all that chili and cheese and fresh onions on those, and the desserts like the lemon icebox pie. 901-754-5540. Go online at commissarybbq.com. Again, the number 901-754-5540 or commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. The party areas to enjoy March Madness. Orders to go, to watch at home, catering, tailgating. Let the party start at the commissary. The new commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar are the original in Germantown.
Well, Brett, you brought up a good point. I just want to make this quickly before we get to a break. But, and kind of what I was asking to Michael at the end of our segment, the Grizzlies right now, obviously because of injuries, has been completely derailed. But next year at this point, it is still a very tough Western Conference, and with a team you got to. But with a team like the Thunder now coming out of nowhere, and it looks like they'll last. The Timberwolves looking much improved. You've even got Sacramento.
We keep waiting on New Orleans.
And
Luka in Dallas.
And exactly. Then you look down 8, 9, 10 is the Mavericks, the Warriors, and the Lakers.
Oh yeah, them.
And they've got to be in the mix, but it's still going to be a very hard Western Conference compete, and I think they have the talent to do so next year. But it's going to be a fight for sure.
I do too. A year from now will be for good, a very different Grizzlies world. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was injuries. It was all that calamity. It was that bad luck. A lot of it self-created. Mm-hmm. Some of it couldn't help. Okay, fine, but having a good year into the playoffs, let's make some noise. Or some really hard questions asked.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, we'll be talking about a wild couple of years if we're asking hard questions next year. But hopefully we won't. But the Grizzlies, they're in action tonight on the road against the Brooklyn Nets. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app, or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hello? Hey, little sis. Did you get your W-2 yet?
Yes, I did.
Well, last year when I told you to file early to get your refund quick?
Yes, I remember.
Well, go ahead and call now, and you can get your refund fast.
Thanks. That's why I love you. Always looking out for your little sis.
To get your taxes filed quick and get your refund fast, go to Brenton Tax Service, located in Midtown Memphis on Madison Avenue. We may not be related to you, but at Brenton Tax Service, we protect you like family.
At LL Flooring, we've been a trusted partner to pros for over 30 years. With over 400 nationwide warehouses full of in-stock, job-ready inventory, you'll get what you need. And our exclusive pro pricing means that pros never pay retail. Because at LL Flooring, all we do is floors. So we're going to do it right. Sign up for a free pro account today to start getting pro benefits. LL Flooring, every step covered.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Are you over 30 and putting off life insurance? It's time to get a quick quote from Ethos, a better, easier way to get term life insurance, all online with no medical exam. Answer a few health questions and you could be approved for up to $2 million. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to help protect your family's financial security? Ethos, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It is finally back open out there in Fayette County. It's moving a whole lot better than it was, let's say, an hour ago. That was a terrible crash. We had 40 westbound at the 28-mile mark. Again, that should start to thin out. Traffic's really crowded over here now on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Heavy now here in the last few minutes with some volume on 55, but it's moving down through South Haven, continuing into DeSoto County on 55 southbound. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525. Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got about 30 minutes left. But some interesting things out of the world of really college football, the NFL, a lot of football stuff going on. First thing I want to bring up, it was made official earlier today. We kind of got the reports of it. Literally, Brett, I was leaving the station on Friday when the report started coming out, but it looks like the University of Memphis has hired Lee Marks as their running back coach. He's been with Washington the last 2 seasons. Washington 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, didn't get looked at as much because of what you had in the passing game, but here you go on the side, just a 1,000-yard runner for Washington. Before that, with Boise State, also with Fresno State, a really good resume coming in.
Real good resume coming in. And you're right about Washington. We correctly gave a lot of the credit to Michael Penix,
Sure.
but when they wanted to turn around and run it, they could. And
That's right.
And they had a couple of different guys. The Mississippi State transfer was the big one, but they could run it. On Twitter, but I do love him and the shooting star that he was. And I know now it's kind of ended in flames. No shocker to see that coming from Johnny Manziel. Woke up Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you follow Johnny Manziel on the X machine?
Brett, I don't. I'm sure I do, but I have no idea.
So Saturday morning, woke up to this bright and early. Here's the tweet, and on about all this, I agree with him.
I am following him.
After careful thought and consideration, I will be humbly removing myself from the Heisman Trophy ceremony until Reggie Bush gets his trophy back. Doesn't sit right with my morals and values that he can't be on that stage with us every year. Reggie is the Heisman Trophy. Do the right thing, NC. The ball is in your court. Much love, JM2.
I seen that, Brett. I seen that.
Couldn't agree with him more. Now, I'm not falling on my sword and giving up my vote because Reggie Bush is not in there because I didn't vote when he got in. I wasn't part of it when they tossed him. I think it's ridiculous that he's not in, especially since you go through the Heisman through the years, and OJ is still there, and I think he should be. I don't think he goes to the ceremony anymore, but he's still in the record book and still honored. I think he should be. Yeah. And Billy Cannon, who was actually tried and convicted for counterfeiting. The late Billy Cannon, he's still very much the Heisman history. It's a menagerie. It's a mixed bag. It's life. It's like halls of fame. You have a lot of things happen to you. He got the award. He did enough on the field to win the award.
Absolutely.
But biggest takeaway I had from this, when I really want to reset my moral compass, I go to Johnny.
After he was on with Shannon Sharp and was talking about the reasons why he lost so much weight in Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's a crazy story right there, Brian.
Certainly,
it is.
certainly.
Where'd you rate a show?
That's right. So I'll leave it at that. But certainly,
The morals and values. I mean, there's never been a person that
Phil's not a huge fan of having media there for the entire practice. He'll have part where media can be there, but
you could have just stopped it. Huge fan of media.
Well, yes, but
and that's most of them.
Sure,
and that's okay too.
It's just what it's become.
And for that, the Alabama people on the beat, AL.com, Tuscaloosa News, our friend Ryan Fowler doing a talk show there. Whatever group, the Jocks, whatever group. I know they feel like, a new day is dawn, and it's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more access, a lot more for their listeners, readers, etc. The old fella, he really made it work.
I mean,
and you know what was really good for subscriptions and clicks and listening?
What's that?
Was all that winning.
Sure was. Hey, I mean, I don't know. I heard he did a pretty good job down there. The way he ran.
Pretty good. He sure did.
So, and I think
there was the story in the mid to late 70s. The Tuscaloosa News wrote a pretty inflammatory story about some things going on in recruiting for Alabama.
Yeah.
And they said that Coach Bryant went to their offices at the Tuscaloosa News and reminded them, we're the franchise. You'll sell a lot more ad space on that preseason outlook for the team. If we're 11-1, you keep writing that crap.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And so, I mean, and I think with how big Alabama football
they didn't
is
write it
down there,
anymore either.
Well, that's probably a good reason. But with how big Alabama football is down there and just how hungry people are for information and news, I don't know if I feel like at some point in the next year and a half, things might change for Kalen DeBoer, and it might not be as wide open.
We were talking about 35, 40 minutes ago about Tennessee and the Tennessee people decked out in the Tennessee fans gear. Okay, fine. You can do whatever you want, but if you get the blowback, don't ask why. I went to the Tiger game yesterday and I got called names. Yeah. Well, what did you go in as?
Well, I went in
did you go in with a coonskin hat and Tennessee gear on?
Right.
You're going to get that. Now, coming up at the NCAA tournament, by the same token, let's say Tennessee's here. Tiger fan want to go to the game and wear Tiger gear? I say fine.
Oh, all for it.
That's their home court.
Absolutely.
In Memphis.
Absolutely. But, you might get a similar reaction from those Tennessee fans.
Okay.
And that's,
you may.
That's how it goes.
Might be a few more of them there at that event.
Sure.
But now, especially if Tennessee gets to a 1, it feels like they will pod to Charlotte.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks like it. And, I mean, with what they did in that win against Alabama, talking with David Cobb, I mean, it was not what we've seen all season long where it's the Dalton Connect show and everybody else kind of help out where you can. It was, all right, Dalton Connect's not having his best game. Let's all, let's win this as a team, and they looked really good doing it.
I think they got to get more out of Vescovi. 8 Saturday, but I some of those 3-point wing set shots, he's got to give them a little more.
Brett, I cannot agree with you more. I mean, with what we've seen Vescovi do in the past, where he has been a knockdown shooter and very reliable. They need a little bit more of that, and if they can get that over these next couple of weeks and have him shooting with a lot of confidence in March when we get to the NCAA tournament, some other teams could be in some big trouble because I think Tennessee is really clicking on a lot of cylinders right now. 7
bids for the SEC, it looks like, and I thought it would come down. South Carolina averted maybe disaster Saturday with the comeback against Florida. They're in,
sure,
and that will be 7, but it'll be hard to get to 8, and it's probably Ole Miss or bust to get to 8, and that means win at Georgia tomorrow night and win in Oxford Saturday afternoon against Texas A&M. I think A&M's done. That's just a lot of losses.
It's a lot.
We're barely a 500 team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how they're in. I think you're right. I think it's Ole Miss or bust, and I think right now we're looking at probably 7 teams, but Ole Miss could finish strong, go into the conference tournament, and make some noise and be in. And 8 teams would be great for the SEC. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Spring is in the air, and so are the savings at Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Hi, this is Lauren Choate. As we welcome clearer skies and brighter days, it's the perfect time to clear up something else, your home's air quality. Right now, for a limited time only, get a free dryer vent cleaning with every air duct cleaning service. Did you know that cleaning your air ducts can not only improve your home's air quality, but also increase your HVAC system's efficiency? Well, it's not just about efficiency. It's about safety and reducing the risk of dryer fires significantly. With Choate's expert technicians, you can rest assured that your air ducts and dryer vent will be cleaned thoroughly, leaving your home safer in your air pressure. All it takes to breathe easier and save, just one call to Choate's. But hurry, this offer won't last forever. Schedule your air duct cleaning service today. Give us a call at 347-8086 or visit us online, choateshvac.com. Choates, let our family serve your family.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so...
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today is that the Tigers made a hire at the running back position. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Lee Marks will take over the same role at Memphis that he had at Washington. I think a massive pickup for Ryan Silverfield and his staff, and he moved quick. We were just talking about this coming open last week, and now he already has it filled with Lee Marks. I think, this was reported Friday night. I mentioned earlier, I had just left, and it felt like poor timing because I wish it had happened 15 minutes earlier and we could have talked about it. But you lose your running backs coach to Cincinnati, obviously Power 5 job. I can't blame him. But then what do? You turn around and you go out and get a running backs coach that was just in the national championship game, a running backs coach that just had a 1,000-yard rusher in a Washington offense that everyone called the air raid. They want to go out and throw it 100 times a game and throw it all downfield. Still had a 1,000-yard rusher. Well, we know Ryan Silverfield likes to work the run game and likes to get that going, and so I really like what he brings to the table, and I think a great hire.
Brian, what I learned today, full tankathon for the Beale Street Bears. Boy, it's going to be rough, and I can't blame them. Every percentage counts to maybe get into on ping pong ball night, and if you can get that one or two, maybe deal it or draft a great player. It's just where we are. It's got to be done. It's going to be grim to watch. It has been. 10 home games left will be hard. On some nights, will be tank versus tank, like coming up soon against Charlotte or against the Virginia Wizards or Detroit. Or the Spurs might even get lectured by Pop about Tankathon.
Oh, man.
That's always great to get lectured to by Pop.
Wouldn't that be, especially about Tankathon when they're just coming off last year getting the number 1 overall pick.
And they're just as guilty this year.
Absolutely. What I could have done without, it was reported a couple hours ago by Adam Schefter. We just haven't had enough time to talk about it. The Broncos have notified quarterback Russell Wilson that he will be released after the league year begins on March 13th. It looked like this is the way it was going. They sat him the last 2 games to avoid injury, to avoid that massive money that they would have to pay him. But doing this, the Broncos are taking
they're eating it anyway.
Big hit, absolutely. And so it's interesting. And why I could have done without it. I mean, you go back and you look at these last couple of seasons for Russell Wilson. I mean, had everything going in Seattle, and then before you know it, Seahawks are now trading him to Denver. And
got better without him.
Sure did. And now you're seeing, right after he leaves, you see all these stories about none of the defensive players liked him. He was too much. He was doing all these things in the front. He goes
Sean Payton
to Denver.
Couldn't stand him.
He goes to Denver, and Brett, he demands to have an office for himself as the starting quarterback. Then you get a new coach.
It's called the locker room.
That's right. You get a new coach. They try it out. They see it very clearly doesn't work out, and now he's looking for a new job. I think there's somebody out there that will take a guy like Russell Wilson. But, if you had told me 4 years ago, hey, in 4 years.
Who does he make better next year?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. But,
Arizona? No, they're Kyler Murray.
They seem like that. I think, Brett, I don't know. I really have no
idea. I don't
idea.
either.
I don't. I mean, I think someone will pick him up for the very worst to have a veteran quarterback in the locker room, but there's no team that when I see this, I immediately go, oh, him to X team makes them 10 times better.
But he's Hall of Famer, right?
Oh, I think so. And that's what's crazy about it is if you go back 3 or 4 years.
Should have been 2-time Super Bowl
Oh, yeah.
champion.
And you told me, hey, in 4 years, Russell Wilson's going to be looking for a job. I would have said, you're crazy. Okay, free agency, sure. But he's got everybody calling him. No, this time he's been kicked and said, we don't want you.
Giants as a starter and whoever they draft, watching him and him being the kind of the mentor, does that help anything?
Yeah, I could maybe see that. I mean, I think there are a couple of situations like that. But yeah, I think that's a stretch.
I could have done without. Look, all due respect, so glad his health is fine. Glad everything on that front is going to be okay. But we got to stop with the Bronny James draft talk. No way he gets drafted ahead of somebody like David Jones. And David Jones is not on any of these mock drafts. None. He's nowhere to be found. You really going to take Bronny James over David Jones? No, nobody would do that. If he gets drafted, it's daddy coach ball of all time. He scored 6 points or less 15 times in 21 games this year. There's no scenario he's deserving of being drafted. None.
No. I definitely think needs to come back to USC for another year and then maybe try it out tomorrow. Next year, not tomorrow. Good Lord. Where are you beaming tonight?
The last big Monday of the year on ESPN beamed me to the shores of the Brazos. Baylor hosting Texas in their last regular season game, maybe ever. Texas' last road trip before joining the SEC. UT leads all-time 165-97. This will be the 263rd meeting. If they don't play next year, the last time they didn't play in a season, 1908.
Holy cow. Wow, it could have been your big number of the day, Brett. Wow.
You see what I did there, working in since they're coming into the SEC, UT?
I like that. That was
the
good.
battle's been joined, UT.
Ooh, wow, I love that. Beam me tonight. I wish I could beam to two places at once, but beam me to Jacksonville and Kennesaw State starting in just a couple of minutes.
A-Sun, first round.
First round of A-Sun. Little weird how they do it. They do it at host gyms, so they have a couple different gyms that they're playing.
Court storming everywhere in these leagues.
Oh, man, all over the place. So this first game, even though it's Kennesaw State listed as a home team, I believe they're playing at a team that's not even playing tonight, a team that plays tomorrow, I believe. So it should be a lot of fun in the A-Sun. And a couple
Queens
teams will be
playing
eliminated.
Lob City tonight.
That's right. So, Brett, we'll have two teams eliminated tonight. Their season will be over.
Duke and Raleigh, 6 NBA games. Grizzlies at Barclays versus Brooklyn. Clippers at the Bucks. That's a big-time game. Yeah. And the analyst yesterday on the Tigers game said David Jones is the next James Harden.
Interesting. He certainly has the pump fake down like James Harden.
The next James Harden.
Well, hey, I like that comparison.
David Jones.
I mean, it's a positive comparison, I guess. I don't know how much I see it, but hey, any positive comment is welcome for sure. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll do it again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova. Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best-kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, $2.25. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Hi, folks, the Chevy Sheriff with good news for car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has acres of new Chevys and GM certified in stock, ready for immediate delivery. A $6 million used car inventory and cars and trucks for every budget, and a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $99.95. If you've been turned down by another dealer, see us at Sunrise. We specialize in financing, and SunriseMemphis.com is home of guaranteed credit approval. Cars and trucks may not be free, but at least they're affordable to Sunrise. Together, let's drive to the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models. each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now, luxury is waiting at Acura Memphis, or shop online 24/7, visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W2